The cat
45?
Yeah, 45. Heard the cat open the door to the bathroom, which is his right, because that's where his litter box is. The problem
That means
is that
you have to get up and close it.
I will have to, yes, when he is done in there, because otherwise Mocha will go in there and take his poops out because she's a dog and dogs are disgusting.
That's wonderful.
I believe I had a perfect 5-second clap.
Oh, great.
That's right. Perfect. Every moment, the future is becoming the present, and the present is becoming the past. The past has no possibility. It has been used. Oh, show courage.
God.
Jesus.
I mean, they're not wrong.
Clearly never played Assassin's Creed.
Hey.
Or Back to the Future. Watched it. Played the Telltale game.
Yeah, I was going to say, that Telltale game was okay.
I have news for everyone. Every Telltale game was okay.
Some were less okay than others.
I will fight you about The Wolf Among Us.
The Wolf Among Us is probably their best game. I will give you that. I think that The Walking Dead is extraordinarily overrated. It's good though. It's not that it's bad.
I really enjoyed it at the time.
It's very good. It's very good. But I think at the same time, I think it's like, I don't know.
Hot takes, and we're not even already on the podcast
I know.
yet.
I love the people that worked at Telltale at that time. I actually like Sam and Max quite a lot, more than most of the other work, and The Wolf Among Us is extremely good. The rest of their games, in my opinion, are good, worth playing.
Jurassic Park isn't.
No, Jurassic Park is bad.
I feel bad because I sold that game to some kids when I was working at Toys R Us.
Oh, see, like before you said when I worked at Toys R Us, it sounded very shady.
I just sold that game to some kids.
Yeah, like that guy, like Ushio selling porn tapes to high schoolers at the beginning of Yakuza.
I have made it past that. Yep.
I had to get up to close the bathroom door, but I needed to ask, when you sold that game to some kid, was it like a dark alley where you said, "Hey kid, want to buy a game"?
You totally missed the part.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's right.
It was exactly that. It was exactly that, and not me working at Toys R Us.
That just
multiple copies of that game to multiple people.
That reminds me of a story that became kind of infamous among my friends, where somebody approached my parents and was like, "Want to buy some DVDs?" And it's like, "No, we're good." And they're like, "I have Brother Bear."
Hell yeah.
And I think
such a weird one.
It was so weird. I don't know, because they're like, my sibling and I weren't with my parents, so I don't know why they were like, "These people probably want to watch Brother Bear." Like on a bootleg DVD.
It's an okay movie.
It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's a fine movie, but I was like, yeah, it was a very weird experience that I've carried with me. That story they told me.
Yep. I remembered another good Telltale game. Puzzle Agent.
Puzzle Agent is good.
It's good. I actually don't like that game very much, but I recognize that's a me problem, not a problem with the game.
Telltale Batman's really good.
It's one of those that I think it's good. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
They made good
I
games.
haven't played the second one yet.
I played the first two Walking Dead seasons and no other Telltale game.
You're fine.
The first season is better for sure. I think
people talk really highly of like Wolf Among Us. It's Borderlands game. The Batman
Borderlands
stuff.
is great, actually.
I find the characters in Tales from the Borderlands to be like spending time with them is like slowly pushing an ice pick simultaneously into both eyeballs. So I can't do it. I'm sure that I will concede that it's probably good. A lot of people say it's good. I can't.
I just realized my ring light is set at 42,000 or it's 4,200 Kelvin. So it's
nice.
420. Yeah.
Well done.
Cool.
Yep. I didn't even try to. It was just like, yeah, that looks good.
it spoke to you at a fundamental level, really.
Just like, oh yes, this.
Oh, ball guy,
This is it.
yeah.
Ball Guy is getting his own card in the Pokemon card game.
Yep.
I just realized Sam's background has Sam slightly larger than himself in the video.
That's very funny.
Slightly larger.
That's like the horror movie that I
I
watched.
couldn't line it up. That's the biggest crime.
Ow, Buster. The horror movie that I watched, he like launched off of my thigh with his claws and it hurt, and slammed into my microphone in the process. In the horror movie that I watched,
Cats.
this girl, one of the women, makes like a Zoom background of like a video of her walking around her room and stuff, like as a joke. But then, of course, when they start to die, they're like, "Oh my god, we can't see her," and then she'll just like slam into frame, and then get pulled away again, and it's just the background again. It's a good gimmick.
Apparently, one of the IGN guys has a Zoom background of himself being given a cup of tea. So it's a video of him sat in the exact position he sits in when he sits to record, being handed a cup of tea. And one time, somebody handed him a cup of tea from the other side, and it like completely shit everybody up who was watching.
That's funny.
Okay. All right. Let's light this wet sock.
I'm doing my Genshin Impact logins, but you can start the podcast.
I got an email and the subject line was just Paimon. And I went, no, thank you.
Have you got emails from Paimon?
It was all in Japanese, so I have no idea.
Is they do frame it as Paimon is, oh god damn it, I didn't update it on the phone. They do frame it as Paimon is the person doing all of their PR communications. Yes, that is how it is. That's how it is framed.
Hello, and welcome to episode 147 of the Gaming Fix podcast on November 14th, 2020. I am your host, Andre Cole, aka your partner's favorite DVD. I am joined today by Allison.
Ooh, favorite DVD. My biggest pet peeve with current DVD or Blu-ray releases, rather, is the lack of special features. So my favorite one is one that has a lot of special features. Probably the most special features I've ever seen on a DVD is the Lord of the Rings, the best edition of those. So
That's multiple DVDs.
yeah.
Which of those DVDs is it? Like disc 3?
Two Towers.
Yeah, I will specifically say disc 3.
Which movie?
You decide. I don't know. I just like special features. So whenever a DVD has the special features on it, I like.
Those extended editions had like 4 DVDs or more per thing, because you had the movie was split across 2.
There was a good bit for the first movie where they filmed a short. Maybe I don't think it was from SNL. They filmed a short with Jack Black, with the House of the Elves, Rivendell, where turns out he's like being Frodo, and he got the ring pierced through his dick as like a Prince Albert. And he has to remove it. Yeah.
Yep. I've seen, yeah. Yes. There's a funny clip. I think they call it a skit.
Yep. Don't know where it came from. And just on that DVD. Joining us, flying all the way around the world. Boy, are his arms tired. Pat.
I've had a whole week to recover. My arms are no longer tired. Those planes fly themselves anyway.
It's true.
As we found out on the stream, I was not aware. I thought the game was going to be hard.
No, I was flying boring baby planes for babies.
Also joining us, Alex.
I don't know if it's my favorite DVD, but the first DVD I ever watched was Star Trek Generations.
Oh, I didn't answer. I think my favorite DVD is the special edition with the disc with the special features for Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Huh. It's not bad.
It's kind of a joke answer, but also that
all right.
did have a lot of good special features. Kevin Smith's all right. So
Yo, Star Trek Generations was a mind-blowing first DVD because it starts with this really high fidelity bottle just flying through space, and you see all the reflections of like the Starship Enterprise and stuff. And at the time, we were still used to like VHS and stuff, and I was like, "Whoa, this is."
We didn't have
clear.
RTX.
No, it did not have RTX at that point.
My first DVD, I think, was actually The Lord of the Rings. And also joining us, Sam.
I'm holding here the only 3 Blu-rays that I own.
that's not a DVD.
That's not a DVD.
This is Evangelion Remake Volume 1. This one is Evangelion Remake Volume 2. This is the 3rd volume of the Evangelion Remake, which is great because they completely redid the style of the cover, and I hate it. These are the only 3 Blu-rays I own because you cannot buy this digitally. It's not possible. Every other Blu-ray I own could be replaced with a digital copy.
Not within parentheses possible.
You cannot.
I mean, to purchase.
Film.
But again, those are not DVDs.
Because if we're talking about just disc, like video disc, 1 that opens up Laserdisc, 2, which there are some fucking banging Star Trek Laserdiscs, let me tell you, and 2, then if we're talking like Blu-rays are great because the Star Wars and Lord of the Rings special editions, which I own both of, those are like the only 2 Blu-rays I own. Are they fit like if you take all the extended editions of the Lord of the Rings, it's like 35 discs or something, or you can get the Lord of the Rings extended edition Blu-rays, which fits in 1 case, and it's like 6 discs, and that's 1 for each movie, and then special features for each movie.
The first DVD I ever owned was Cruel Intentions 2. It's a terrible film.
Now we're talking. Now
It's
we're
extremely
talking.
bad. My uni housemate and I used to watch it a lot.
Hang on, the dog's barking. Hang on.
Oh, my dogs are barking too. Oof, been out for a walk.
Woof.
Wan.
I forgot about
took
one.
Japanese-
That's a
Evangelion
Japanese,
again.
Japanese joke for you.
It is. It's good.
Yeah. You see, in Japanese, dogs say "wan."
Oh, so actually the first Evangelion movie is 1.woof woof. You are not alone. Your bracket's not unbracket alone.
Anyways, I'm glad we.
It says 1.1.
Yeah.
One.
So this week, boy, there's a lot that happened this week.
It was a busy week.
Our list of
At
games
least in
here is
games. A
long.
lot of games came out. A lot of games were finished. I don't even know where to start.
A lot of systems came out.
Yeah. Let's start. Should we start? Let's start with the new system. Let's start with. We only have one of them on the podcast, but he's not even here.
He's currently not here.
We can't even talk. We can't even talk about it. Okay, let's talk about the boy who has no PlayStation, no Xbox, Sam Harrison. How does it feel to be free of these mortals in their life?
It's fine because I have a Switch. So, like, yes, I have no next gen consoles or current gen
Switch.
consoles.
What do you even play on that? Like, will you turn on the lights on and off? What are you doing?
I play Hades.
Hades. Now that's a game.
It's a really good game. I talked about it a little bit on the extra live stream last week, how much I'm loving it. I've got 2 clears now. And mostly because I played it obsessively until I got 1 clear and then was like, I'll take a break. But I'm back on my bullshit now. So
That's how I felt with playing Hades.
Yeah, I did my first clear with the fists, and then the second one, I love the spear, so I was like, oh, I'm just going to do the spear. and now I'm going through to try and get a clear with heat on every weapon. So
you don't have to do it with heat on every weapon until basically you've cleared it, because you can still get, like, if you don't have all of the things, like basically if you don't have the final thing, you can just beat it without heat, get that final thing, and then do it with heat to get more stuff. But yeah.
I just want the blood. I want the Titan blood from the Furies, and it feels like a waste to go through a run and not get 2 Titan bloods. If that makes sense.
Sure.
I know that Hades has a shelf life because on Thursday my PS5 will arrive, and then infinite amount of games on my wait list start becoming playable. So I'm just trying to get a few more clears just so that I know a bit more about the end game. I've been throwing on a few different difficulty modifiers and seeing which ones that I like and I find easier to beat. So I did the first extra clear I did was with the boss one, where you add new techniques for bosses. That was rough.
I have not added that yet because I'm not messing with that.
You should. There's
good.
I had I think it was Meg was like said something about using it. And I was like, okay, okay, Meg, I'll use it. And then what happens is actually pretty good.
I was about to say what happened, but I won't. I'll leave it because it's fun to watch.
It's fun to find out.
Well, yeah, at least one of the boss fights is more interesting. They're all harder. They've all got much more life, and they feel like a lot harder to take down.
How much heat did you put on? Because it only like the amount of heat, like 1 heat just increases it for like 1 boss, and then 2 heat is like 2 bosses, 3 heats, 3 bosses. So
maybe it was just I had a bad build that second time round.
Yeah, that can definitely happen.
I've been like melting the Bone Hydra ever since I got the. There's 2 abilities that I think are the best, which is the one where you deal extra damage to someone with 2 afflictions, so 2 damage over time weaknesses, and then the one where you do extra damage to someone you've implanted with cast stones. And like I was literally melting the Bone Hydra to the point where I lost maybe 5 HP against it in a round, and was like getting all the way to Hades without using a Death Defiance and things like that. And then the first time I turned that bosses do difficult stuff, it got mental. I like had a Death Defiance against both the second the Bone Hydra and the heroes. Although I then met up with Petroclus and got all my Death Defiances back, which was great.
Yep.
And that dude is extremely useful, and the fact that it takes you forever to meet him is really annoying.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm loving that game. I've never really liked a roguelike before, and I think that this one is the one that's like, oh, this is how you do a roguelike that I will enjoy. A lot of people talk about the story, and I have to say I'm barely paying attention to it, and I'm not finding it particularly exciting, which is like the first few runs I was like reading everything, talking to everyone, and like I still talk to everyone who has an exclamation mark, but I don't bother doing it if they don't have an exclamation.
Sam, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Everyone, do pet Cerberus.
Of course.
Yeah.
Every time I go home.
Okay, good. Okay.
You can pet the dog in Hades.
Yeah, but I mean, like, apparently, like, there's an achievement on Steam where if you've pet Cerberus like at least 10 times, I think, and a large number of people haven't gotten that, and I'm like, that's the easiest achievement.
That's a strange
crime.
Yeah. Well, this goes to show the Steam audience.
No accounting for taste. But, you know, like, there is a question of, like, how many people have, like, you know, how long were they playing it? Did they play in early access and then just never pick it back up? And, you know, Steam achievements are weird.
They are. Like, for sure.
Like, let's see. Because I was playing a game, for Yakuza Like a Dragon, which we'll talk about later. only 43.6% of people have like completed the first chapter. Like, you know, they're
Yep.
and it's not short, but you'd figure people would finish the first chapter.
I don't know. There's a lot of games out this week.
Yeah. But like, you know, you boot it up, like that seems like a thing you would go through. Like, I'm not sure if it's counting everybody in the who owns it or if it's people who have actually booted it. Because I was playing another game, like I talked about Caves of Cud, and the first achievement I unlocked was you died, and that was like, I don't know, 60% of people, and I was like, that like you die really easily and like immediately in this game. So I'm not sure like how this is like calculating percentage.
Yeah, did the percentages account for people who have started the game, or is it just people who own it?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Like I
think
don't
it
know.
started.
That's what I would assume.
I would assume so too, but I don't know.
Because like that's how it is for PlayStation.
Trophies. Oh, right. I don't know about Steam.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, hey, pet Cerberus. It's he's a good boy who deserves your pets.
Mm.
And a nice bag of like I don't know, satyr livers or whatever. Satyr gizzards.
I have to say, whilst railing about how terrible Zone 4 was in our chat, I now feel like I know the combination of skills you need to just destroy it. I've not really had any trouble with it since. It just took a while to work out what works against those enemies, because there's only like 3 enemies in that zone. So you're like, okay, now I know what works against these enemies. I can just hammer through it. So it's basically dash skills and multiple dashes. That's all you need is extra dashes and
I also like range. Have range skills. That's what I always want to make sure that I have something decent for range when I get at least to that point. But
I basically I like the Athena shield that deflects
shield
damage.
Dash.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's like I go for that like every single run because I'm like, it feels a little vaguely OP at a certain point.
I found on my clear the other day, I got 3 extra dashes from Hermes, so I had 5 dashes and the deflect, and also my dashes did some other damage production stuff as well, which didn't seem to replace the Athena one, which was pretty cool. So I was just like hammering around, like not even touching any buttons apart from dash, and just killing rooms full of people.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah. Alex, I'd recommend picking it back up, like playing a couple more times of Zone 4, and I feel like it'll just click.
Yeah.
All right. I can't. Well, Sam, you finally you beat a game that you've been playing for what feels like years at this point.
I think I started in July, June or July, maybe.
I think
that
when
feels
you
like
started
years.
that steel was still hot. So how about you tell us about your journey to the end of Trails of Cold Steel 3?
I don't know. I don't need to go too deep into it. I talked a little bit about it on the Game of the Year, the extra live stream again. I basically
was our Game of the Year that we already did.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to
God.
do it.
Oh man, that would be so nice.
Now we don't have to do it.
I want to do it.
Turns out we did Game of the Year during the extra live stream. It was cool. It was great.
Yeah,
everyone's favorite game got to be number 1.
Yes,
Isn't that amazing?
everyone won. It was all of our
Turns
collective
out
favorite game.
It's Jackbox Party Pack Volume 7.
Yep.
Turns out it's Super Mario Brothers. Yay!
Yeah.
It's me, a Mario. Thank you.
That's a good Mario voice.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
My students love it. They are always asking for me to do Mario.
Gross.
And that's Trails of Cold Steel 3, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with another check-in on...
Trails of Cold Steel 3, it's real good. I think it was very funny because when I finished 2, I was like, I don't think anything could top the end of this game in this series. Like, it ended on like loads of huge story moments, and like major character death and stuff like that. And then in 3, it ends like, well, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who might eventually play it, but it ends on a huge cliffhanger. And like, I did know that going in, which is why I bought Trails of Cold Steel 4 to start playing immediately as soon as I finished it. I cannot imagine anyone having to wait a year to see what happened next in this storyline. Yeah, so like, I think 3 is now my favorite in the series. I think 1, looking back on 1, I really enjoyed it, but it's like a lot of scene setting. It's basically an entire game of scene setting where they introduce you to the major regions in the game, the major players in politics and other. And then in 3, they kind of throw everything together. And then in 4 is kind of like also a finish off of the previous 2 trilogies stories. 4, I've played about 3 hours of 4 before I had to get rid of the old PlayStation to get the new PlayStation in. Yeah, 3's still my favorite. I will probably at some point try and wrangle some people and do a like Trails of Cold Steel.
I'll be ready in 2022.
Yeah, I'll be ready like in 8 years, maybe.
2022 is so ambitious. It took me a year to finish 3 games.
You also have a baby, is the thing.
Yeah, you have a baby, and the Trails in the Sky, those games are shorter each than the Cold Steel games. Like
and so the Crossbell games are shorter as well.
Also, do you remember that, like, how Pat can like go through a series like with
when
like
I
with
put my mind to it.
like with Kingdom Hearts, like.
He did play all of Kingdom Hearts in a very short period of time.
Yeah, like I have faith in Pat to be able to get through a series like this very quickly.
Well,
just need to set my mind to it.
I have no faith in you being able to doing it.
Oh.
Well, with decreased load times
just,
on the PS5,
I've
there
played
will be
this
no
game.
problem.
Sam is doing this because he wants to motivate me. He thinks that by like insulting
it's
my
reverse
resolve,
psychology.
And I won't fall for it. I will fail the challenge and not finish the games until 2030 now. So, you know what?
It wasn't supposed to be reverse psychology. I genuinely don't believe you can do it. There's too many other games. Like the reason that I've managed to get 3 done this year is because there were basically no games else that I was interested in.
I don't want to pull this conversation away from Trails, but I will say I actually think next year is going to be quite barren for game releases because this year COVID delayed a lot of games that were already in development. I think next year is going to be a lot of indie games from teams that were already working semi-remotely. I think you're going to see a lot of the games that would have been doing pre-production and early production this year to target late next year, or, you know, games that started development a year or 2 ago are going to all have a hard time crossing the finish line next year.
Man. Joe Biden's going to make all those games come out.
Maybe. I mean, I don't want studios to not have income. So, but I think next year is going to be a little less, it's going to be rough for releases. Anyway.
Interesting because I think Sam, do you have anything else you need to share about Trails of Cold Steel 3? Or
not really. I would say it's definitely my favorite in the series so far. It's got the most interesting character set. So like in the first 2 games you play with a specific set of characters and then they all leave in the 3rd one and you get handed a new set and they're super interesting.
I think a lot of
Randy Orlando.
My boy. Yeah. It was just gonna say my boy, Randy Orlando.
You can get drunk with Randy.
Oh god.
His bonding events are all in the pub in the town.
Randy's hot tonight.
I'm not sure if it's CS3 or 4, but it seems like there's a lot of returning characters from Trails in the Sky.
CS 1.6.
Source.
CSI Miami?
I don't think it's a huge spoiler to say that the fourth game opens with Joshua, Estelle,
Oh yeah,
Lloyd, and Noel.
they're in like
of course, yeah.
Whoa.
they're in character. Well, actually, I mean, those are the characters you play as in the first Trails in the Sky, so it's pretty cool. But they show that in like I think they're on the cover of
in
the
the
game.
trailer, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
It's in
worried about
one of the
that as well.
screenshots on the PlayStation Store because I was like, oh, kind of wish I didn't know that.
I don't want spoiler. Like I'm not. I would say I am avoiding spoilers. However, we're talking about a 9-game continuous series. Each game has like a ton of shit in it from like main plot, and then like Trails in the Sky is like broken into regions, and basically each region is like, I don't know, 4 to 10 hours long. Oh good, Sam's up so I can say, oh he's coming back, damn it.
I think
Each region-
earpods in so I can hear you anyway.
Each region is like 4 to 10 hours long, and in each region there's maybe an hour or two at most of plot relevant stuff that you do, and then the rest of it is all like that region's like side story, which is fine because they've been good. So I'm not like taking a dump on the game. It's very enjoyable. It also means that I can play it in chunks and go, oh, I finished this region, I'll come back to this now in a month or whatever, and it doesn't feel like I have to replay the whole game. So all of this is a positive thing. However, it means that like the plot wise, like while I don't want spoilers, I'm not going to get super mad if I accidentally see something here or there, because it's like there's so much plot in these games that it's one minor detail is like, well, I don't know. Yeah, totally.
The side content stuff is super good, and basically every area you go to has main story, which you can just critical path, and then it will have a side stuff which will give you some more story information or might just be funny. Like some quests are literally just a joke. And then there'll be, on top of that, there'll be secret side quests, which are not marked on the map. But if you talk to the right person, they'll be like, hey, can you do this thing? And it'll be added to your quest tracker.
And the difference is in Trails in the Sky, the side content is pretty devoid of narrative. There's a little bit, but for the most part, to go through the main plot, you have to do a bunch of stuff that feels like side content, because it'll be like, oh, you spent 6 hours doing this thing, and it turns out that gave you the MacGuffin you needed to advance the main plot, but it doesn't actually connect to the main plot in any way. It's fine because it's good stuff. But I don't think we were talking about in the cast before we move on, the fact that in Trails in the Sky, there are 3 chapters. You can transfer your save between them through the whole thing. If you fail to pick up an item in the first game, that is, you literally have to talk to a background character sitting in a bar that is available for exactly 1 screen. Like, to get into the bar, the main plot pulls you in there, and it's like a cutscene almost. And then if you walk out of the bar, the character goes away. You'll never see them again. If you talk to them, they give you an item. That item is required to get the best weapons in the game. And
That sounds so stressful.
If you leave the bar without talking to him, you will never be able to get the best weapons in the game.
Let me tell you about
that is the
cheat
combat
engine.
Yeah, and also combat is insanely easy in all Trails games. It's not meant to be a challenge.
I would like, at times it's a
But
little
just
bit.
like the
New game plus
concept
you to be a
of
challenge.
I could miss this so easily.
It's
was,
fine.
like,
I mean,
very
if it really bothers you, just know
anxiety.
going in, you should play with a guide. For me, I got over it quick because the weapons don't really have a lot of character or personality. So it was kind of like, you can get
They
weapons
don't
that are
change
almost
the model on your character or
no,
anything.
and you can get weapons that are almost as good by just playing the main plot. So I don't care that much. I just think it's
The thing that freaks me out more is like missing story content.
exactly, and that you won't miss that.
Okay, cool.
So
but-
there's something in the Trail series that I did not know, which every person that you can talk to has an icon above their head that says talk when you get near them, and the icon grays out when they have nothing new to say. So I didn't know that until playing the 4th game.
I wonder if that's true of Trails in the Sky. I don't think it is, but
I'd missed the tutorial prompt,
oh no.
and now, like, it just I don't know, it makes it a lot easier to keep track of everything, and who is and isn't ready to talk, which is kind of great.
Allison has disappeared. Hopefully it wasn't like in the God, your camera tracks you now and it's really unsettling.
It's
That's the
unsettling.
power of the RTX 3070, baby. Well, speaking of power,
for those, obviously this is an audio podcast, but Andre leaned back in his chair and threw his hands up and it was like a meme or something. It was like something from a animated GIF, and it was unsettling.
Speaking of power, Pat, you're cooking with gas now.
I'm gaming with the power of the PlayStation 5, which most people would have gotten their PlayStation 5s and then not turned it off for 2 full days. I got my PlayStation 5 and first had to finish working, and then was so invested in watching the first season of The Boys that I continued to watch that instead of play PS5.
It's a very good game.
Meanwhile, I'm
Very,
over
very
here
good
looking at
show.
third-party seller apps going,
well,
I could pay like $850.
It has nothing. It's not a commentary on my excitement about the PlayStation 5, and more just that The Boys is a really, really, really good show. I finished season 1. It's amazing.
It ends well.
Carl Urban. It does. Carl Urban deserves every conceivable award. Yeah, so the PlayStation 5, after I finished watching The Boys on Thursday, I played through all of Astro's Playroom. And I spent like 4.5, 5 hours with it and still didn't have the platinum. So I only have like 72% of the trophies. So I might go back and platinum that at some point, because it is delightful and it shows off a lot of the features of the PlayStation 5 controller, the DualSense, which is definitely like, were developers to use it, kind of a game changer for games.
How many ice cubes did you count?
So no ice cubes, but at the beginning they do dump a bunch of robots into the controller. Like, it's on screen and you can 6-axis it around and it's like following your movements. And then the touchpad like opens up like a door on the screen, and they dump a bunch of Astrobots in and then close it. And as you rotate the controller around, you can feel them kind of tumble around inside of the controller with the haptics.
That sounds like that Rayman or the Rabbids game.
Yeah, it is similar to that. Yeah. And then the rest of, I won't spoil like a lot of the stuff, but I mean, essentially, Astro's Playroom is broken into like 4 zones, 4 regions, and each one is tied to one of the generations of PlayStation. That's not a spoiler because you kind of like sort of tells you that immediately. And it's just a really fun kind of romp through the history of PlayStation. Not like narratively, because the zones themselves don't have any ties to the generation they represent. But each zone, the thing I won't spoil is each zone has like sort of puzzle platforming, really light. It's very easy, but puzzle platforming bits, 2 levels of that, and then 2 levels of a like unique sort of control thing that utilizes the DualSense in an interesting way. So like the one that is out there because people were streaming Cooling Springs a lot is like a robot that you jump into and then you hold the trigger down to compress a spring, and then it jumps around, kind of like Tigger from Lord of the Rings. What am I? We talk about Lord of the Rings. Jesus Christ, Winnie the Pooh.
Oh my God! If Tigger was in Lord of the Rings, I would love it.
It would be amazing.
Because Tigger just bounces by and his tail goes through the
Tigger-
one ring, and then
Tigger the
Tigger
Gray.
bouncing around Middle Earth.
Yes.
Just,
Sorry.
yeah.
I don't know why I did that with my.
We're bringing the
with
Tiggers
my
to
mouth.
The wonderful
Isengard.
thing about Tiggers is I'm the only one to bring them all and in the darkness bind them.
Anyway, enjoy that. But yeah, so you're kind of like you're holding down the trigger, and the tension on the trigger feels like you're pushing a spring down. And that's actually my least favorite of all of the different like gimmicky control things. But it's pretty cool. And then you're kind of like collecting a bunch of stuff, and it goes some interesting places. Like as it draws to a close, there's some very funny and fun references to PlayStation that are really enjoyable. And all along the way, you're picking up like artifacts, which are extraordinarily high resolution 3D scans of parts from PlayStations, like in the PS2 area, you'll pick up like the iToy or the DualShock 2. Hi, Allison. Allison's back. The DualShock 2 or a multi-tap, and you can
multi-tap.
yeah, it's like surprisingly deep degrees of holy shit, I forgot that they made this thing. And you can like rotate it around by rotating your controller, and it works like super well, and the buttons on your controller will correspond to like actually doing little actions on the model. So it's a really cool little thing. And really the fidelity of the controller and the ways in which it combines the haptic feedback, trigger tension, and audio coming from the controller speaker is really, really, really impressive. I feel like the audio coming out of the speaker thing on PS4 was always used for pretty gimmicky kind of like just...
It was used super rarely, and when it did, it always seemed kind of annoying. Like Dying Light did it, and I just didn't like like for radio transmissions, it would come through the controller, and I was like, this just give me like good audio from the TV. Like this sounds shitty. I
don't know if it's just that the speaker and the controller is better on the DualSense or what, but it feels much more like it's part of the mix with the game. It's just like it's almost more like surround sound or something. Like it's just another part of the mix is coming out of the speaker. So like when you're running an Astrobot, your footsteps come out of the controller speaker, and then there's little haptic vibrations as you run, and it feels like it's combining the haptics and the sound in a way that, and it's not loud. It's barely noticeable after you've been playing for a while, but it creates this sense of immersion around the whole thing. And like when stuff like there's sort of like thwomp like equivalents at one point, and when they land near you, a little bit of sound comes out of the speaker and then it vibrates. And it's just that stuff combines to be really impressive. So I'm hoping that we see that kind of I'm hoping that the Astrobot team makes another game for the PS5 that is maybe more of a less of a tech demo and more of a like kind of full experience. And 2, I'm hoping that although they're probably making a thing for the next PSVR, and then 2, I'm hoping that first party devs in particular kind of really use this technology to its fullest extent, because it's really cool. And it works. Like the trigger stuff seems like it's fairly consistent. Like Miles uses it hilariously. The way that Miles and Spider-Man Remaster use it is they make the triggers into GameCube triggers. That's like the way that it sets
super
the tension.
Squishy.
So like by default with the system off, the triggers feel like PlayStation 4 triggers, which is to say good. I mean, PS4 has good triggers.
Yeah.
When you turn on Miles, there's like a sort of squishy tension to them, and then when you get to the end of their action, it like clicks like the way the GameCube controller clicks. So, I mean, it's better than a GameCube controller, but it's also totally that's
interesting. That's very interesting.
It's especially weird because you don't really have to click the trigger all the way in, and I think this maybe is like more an issue. I don't know that this is the way it's intended, but you can basically pull the trigger to the stop before the click, and it'll do your web sling. Like it'll shoot out a web. So I don't know if it's intended or if you're supposed to have to click it to shoot the web out. I'm not sure, but it's cool. I mean, it's interesting. It's not like a game changer. I wouldn't say that like, holy shit, if you're playing Miles on a DualShock 4, what is wrong with you? Because it's not that crazy.
Yeah,
I haven't noticed.
Just an interesting feeling to go for.
Supposedly the haptics buzz your spider sense in the direction of danger. I haven't noticed that at all. It very well could be there. I wasn't looking for it because I forgot about it while I was playing, but I haven't noticed that at all.
The most HD of rumbles.
Yeah. Speaking, and then like kind of, I'll just very briefly say, Miles seems very good. I won't spoil it for anybody. I know in particular that Sam would be very sad to hear any spoilers. I haven't seen anything so far that is spoilery, frankly. So it's pretty safe, I think. It seems like that game the story of that game is going to be one that you can figure out from, if you know the character, you can figure out from like the jump. Like it's very unspoilerly, and it's not a like scandalous like, oh my god, they think he's dead, but Peter's just like not around for it, so there's not a lot of interactions between Peter and Miles. It's set around
the like reason why Peter isn't around spoiled.
Oh yeah,
Multiple people have mentioned
it's not even. I mean, he goes on vacation. That's
Sure, that was
that's it.
that was in pre-release. Like
yeah. I mean, it's
like
not
marketing.
They say it in the first 2 minutes of the game, and it's just that like he's like, oh, I'm going on vacation for Christmas with MJ, and then you're like, oh, okay, and you're the Spider-Man for a little bit, and it's good. That game, Spider-Man, was a banging game. I also played like 40 hours of it. So when I boot up Miles, it's like, I really like this character. It's beautiful on PlayStation 5 on a TV. And I'm also not like, I can't stop playing, because it's very much the previous Spider-Man. I do think
I'm glad that you that it's not very long.
Yes, that's what I was just about to say. In fact, is that I think the way forward for this series to not seem repetitive and stale, because I can't imagine that they're going to be able to add significant gameplay innovations from game to game. I think the thing they should do is, if they're going to do a big sequel, it should really add a significant area, whether it's another part of New York or whether it's going off to another place. I don't know. And I think these shorter games coming out, one every, I don't know what their cycle would look like, but one every year or two, that's sort of an 8 to 10 hour thing that maybe has another 10 to 15 as side content for people who are really crazy about playing the game to death, is the way to go. Because I don't think I could, if I heard this game was like 20 hours long, I don't know that I would even be able to like consider finishing it. The fact that it's 8 hours has me excited to play the rest of it, because that's like tight, shorter story. I'll do some of the side stuff and then maybe come back to it, and then I'll have it there when I want to swing around and play Spider-Man and do some side stuff, because it's good. But it's definitely, it would be daunting if it was like, you need to play another 20 to 25 hours of this right now, because it definitely is very much that game with really impressive visual improvements, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't really change the feel of the gameplay that much.
My theory is that the next God of War game is actually a Miles Morales sized mini sequel.
See, God of
I don't know.
I very much doubt that.
They would do that. I don't know why they would do that.
I could see
because they've announced it for next year, and they've had more time than the Spider-Man guys had. Insomniac had to work on Miles because they didn't do any DLC. But I don't know. Just they talked about a while ago that they were going to be doing more small experiences.
Yeah,
and Miles is a small experience. The new God of War has a subtitle, not.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the thing.
The most recent one was just God of War, so
it's true. Yeah, I think I could see it either way. I don't think I necessarily need shorter stories out of God of War. If anything, I think they could do a 3-game series there and then close the book on Norse God of War.
That's my assumption.
And each one could be 40 hours, because I think I'm not picking on Miles when I say this, but there is depth to the environments and combat in God of War that Miles does, or that Spider-Man does not have.
There's more variety as well.
Totally,
you go to Muspelheim, Niflheim.
And that's kind of the nature of a Spider-Man game. I mean, there's just not that many different things.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, there's
he hangs
two
out in
Spider-Man.
one place. He's
Yeah,
a neighborhood
exactly.
Spider-Man.
So I can't. I don't. It doesn't have the same degree of that stuff. But the swinging around still feels real good. Real good.
My hope for the next Spider-Man game is that the whole game can be played either with Miles or Peter, and the story changes depending on who you choose.
Oh god, then I have to play it twice. I don't know about that.
And
I think
40 hours both ways.
I think
uphill
it could be
in the snow.
I think I think a way that they could expand it for sure is to make the narrative more like rich in a sense, like if you had dialogue options and if choosing your character did create branching paths. I definitely think that that's one of the things they could do to make it more I don't know if engaging is the word, but at least make it a little different and fresh for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I played the other stuff that I played is stuff that other people played too that we'll get to, like CODBLOPSCW, and
what is the
Bugsnax.
Cold War? Cold War. That's
Yes.
what it is.
I have a PS5 question, Pat, because I've not watched
Yes.
any footage or anything of PS5. Is the trophy sound the same?
I don't think I've
think it's
noticed the
new.
trophy sound. It's so subtle, I think, that I haven't even noticed it. I've noticed the toasts pop up, but I haven't paid attention to the sound, I guess. I think it comes out of the controller too, which may have something to do with it. I will say
I'm
that
definitely turning that controller speaker off.
I don't
hate those things.
I think you should try it first. I think you should play some Astrobot with it first. I think it's part of the, frankly, I think it's like part of this experience to an extent, in a way that it wasn't on the PS4. But
I remember playing Killzone Shadowfall and some creepy little girl singing a nursery rhyme coming out of the controller, and I instantly went to the settings and turned it off, and it never ever got turned on again.
yeah, I mean, it sucked on the PS4, frankly.
To be fair though, I've been playing it with Bugsnax, and it's good. It's the one time
very
where I'm
good.
like, it's the one time where I'm like, I like this controller audio. This is good. I
Because
don't
when
know.
you catch the Bugsnax, they say their names.
They say your name in through the controller. It's so good.
It's like Bunger,
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm back in.
Frider. Yeah, it's good. And then God, we'll have to
The way
talk about
that
Bugsnax.
we will. Yeah. Oh, man.
Bugsnax is a fucking thing.
Everyone's talking about Bugsnax.
Everyone needs to play Bugsnax.
Should we
I
be talking?
know.
Should we be talking about?
Yeah, we can talk
Bugsnax?
about.
Okay, let's talk about
Let's
Bugsnax.
talk about
Bugsnax
Bugsnax.
now.
I want to play Bugsnax, but I can't get a PS5. 'cause
You can
that's
play it
the
on
only
PS.
way I could, but it's free
PC
on
or PlayStation
PS5.
4.
Oh, it's not
Yeah,
free
but-
on PS4.
No,
No.
it's only free on
Oh,
PS5.
wow.
It's PS4.
Yeah, I paid
I'm not gonna-
$25 for it.
I'm
Because I
getting
was
a
like,
PS5 eventually, so I'm not gonna pay for Bugsnax now.
I don't know.
What am I, a sucker? I'm
Yeah,
gonna pay
I mean,
$700 for a PS5 so I can play Bugsnax for free.
I will say
God-given
I
right
understand
as a
why you
human
say
being.
that. To anyone listening, I would say Bugsnax is, I assure you, fine on PS4.
oh yeah, it
Yes.
totally runs perfectly fine.
If
Like,
you were not
I've-
intending on buying a PS5
Or
like,
if
imminently.
I mean, I want a PS5, but I don't know when I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well,
For-
I'm going to get it sometime, but I want Bugsnax now.
For what
so
it's
I
for
my
what
Bugsnax
it's
Bugsnax
and I want it now.
for what it's worth, you can log in. Like I did it on my phone app
Yeah.
and claim the free
Yeah.
Bugsnax. So at least it's
Yeah.
waiting for you when you have PS5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite the thing. That game is fucking weird.
It is wild. No, there's so many times where I'm just like, what is going on?
It's not even weird in like a way where I'm like, don't talk about it because you need to experience it for yourself. You do, but it's also like just the game is like, I didn't know it was in first
Occasionally they'll say some fact about Bugsnax, and I'm just like, what?
Yes.
Like the thing that they're like one of the minor storylines is that nobody knows how Bugsnax reproduce. Just-
like eels.
They're just like
like eels.
Bugsnax exist. They don't have seeds. You can't cook them for some reason.
The thing about them, the thing about this game that is really great, or one of the things about it that's really great from what I've played so far, is it doesn't feel like Pokemon, for example. And I'm not gonna bag on Pokemon. This is probably a good thing that they're doing. Don't go into this, but when you think about Pokemon and you think about like Pokemon breeding and like, do Pokemon fuck? That's not a question that the game answers for you. And it's not a question that the game really explores at all. Because it's kind of like, listen, weirdo, this is a kid.
Depends on the Pokemon.
This is kind of a kid's game.
You put them into the daycare center, egg pops out.
Yeah,
You don't think about when you're
Yes,
breeding
exactly.
for shinies and you realize that, like, how many times did they fuck for those eggs?
It's very much like the difference. The thing with Bugsnax is, and it's only relevant because like it is a creature catching game. It's more of a puzzle game than Pokemon. It's not very similar to Pokemon from the gameplay perspective, but as another creature catching game in Bugsnax, it's family friendly. Like it's not like it's definitely like an E10 or whatever game, but the characters would be, if there were a breeding mechanic, which there is not, the characters would be like, don't know what they do in there, wink wink, like
Yeah.
it's weird, isn't it? Because it seems like everything about that game, like there's lore there and it's weird, and
Right.
they know, and they might not tell you, but
There's, like-
someone on that team has figured out an answer to every question.
There are very specific things too. Like, again, I don't know if I want to spoil it, but there was like one thing where somebody mentioned like a fact about one of the Bugsnax, like logistically, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I think those are probably best left to letting people
Excuse me?
understand on their own.
I was just like, wait,
but-
we're gonna just skip right past that and be like, it's very, very weird, but like I feel like it's very weird in a way that like it has its own internal logic. Its
Yes.
internal logic is just
100%.
wild.
And it's kind of a like I wasn't sure if this game was going to go a more "don't hug me, I'm scared" route, or if it was going to go a more like Pokemon route with its kind of lore. It's kind of right down the middle between those things.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like twisted, but also
But also like
sometimes it's a little twisted.
yeah, because like one of the characters that you meet pretty early on, he is like a Bugsnax rancher. So he he like keeps them as pets basically, and
Does he dress
there's like
him?
a lot of contact of him being like, people keep eating my Bugsnax, and it's like, ooh,
Man.
Yeah, well,
you know, kind of like makes you actually think like, maybe this is weird. I don't know.
That would be cool if you had Bugsnax Rancher and it was like Monster Rancher, and if you put different music CDs in, like it would affect the Bugsnax.
No, you got to do the one where you scan the UPC codes on your
I had one of
grocery,
those. I had one of those.
and then you've got
That
you
works
can
too.
battle with those creatures.
Fucking ruled. Honestly, bring those kinds of experiences back. They're probably all on smartphone apps now, and that's less fun.
But, yeah, I never see people talking about it though. But like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and like it is morbid when you like catch this cute little walking strawberry, and then you go up to someone and then they go like like a baby bird, and then you drop the Bugsnax in their
And
mouth.
you're like, here you go.
And they're
This,
so-
like, cute strawberry with eyes, and you're like, into the mouth.
And
it's-
they are so fucking excited to see their hand turn into like a strawberry. It's very weird.
It's also, have you gotten to the point where you can choose which limbs
No,
have the bugs?
customize them.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yes.
No,
and you can go very specific for like upper leg.
as
or
I
foot.
suspected, I only got about 40 minutes in, and then I was very tired and went to
It's-
sleep. But I'm going to play a lot more of it because it's really wild, and it's essentially like kind of a puzzle game.
Yeah. There's
That's what the gameplay really is.
Yeah, a lot of it is like I feel like it's not too spoilery to say that the basic overarching, like one of the big goals is that you have to get all of the people from this village back into the village, because they all decided to like go off on their own, and to do that you have to do like, you know, basic quests for them. And most of them, like 99% of them are, hey, can you get me this specific Bugsnax?
And feed it to me
And feed it to me.
and watch my body.
But there's
change
like
shape.
puzzles like involving, you know, which Bugsnax does this person want?
Wait,
How do you catch this Bugsnax?
do they identify singular Bugsnax as Bugsnax?
Yeah.
Yes.
How do they spell it? Is it SNAK? 'Cause-
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. That checks out.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. There's also a pizza Mothra.
Which is
So like the wings are pizza.
That it shows up in the first.
it shows
30
up like
seconds.
immediately.
Love it.
Yeah, it's a thing. That's
Every
for
so
sure.
often, like also the thing that's kind of interesting is that like some of the Bugsnax are super easy to catch. Some of them are like you have to puzzle out how to get them caught, and then there are other ones where I'm like, this Bugsnax will not be caught, and I don't know how. I'm assuming I'll get some tool for it later,
Yeah.
but it's because you get a lot of tools too, because there's all the puzzle solving and too.
It has a little bit of like a Metroidvania thing, in that clearly there's
Yeah.
times when you're supposed to go forward to get tools, then go back and catch some of the snacks. It doesn't have like, it's not necessarily that way with like environments, but
I'm
it's
glad
that
I'm
way
not
with
the only
tools.
one who played it and was like, is Bugsnax a Metroidvania?
Yeah, it definitely has some
Yeah.
of those aspects, but I don't know. It's it's pretty clever so far. It's very funny, and I'm really interested to see where
Also,
some of the lore
I like the
shit
characters
goes.
so much.
Yeah, the characters are very well written and they're very
Yeah.
funny.
How's the
Still
voice?
though, is
How's
the
the voice
boy-
acting?
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Good.
It's so good.
So good.
I'll say this. This isn't meant at as a knock on Miles as much as it is praise for Bugsnax. The Bugsnax voice acting is significantly better than
It's
what I've
all
played of Miles so
all
far.
the characters are extremely good. Well, it's like I feel like they do like I said with like there being that kind of internal logic. I feel like they do a good job of like, you know, the characters involved aren't like, oh, I'm gonna eat a bug snack. Like they talk about it very like matter of factly of like how much they love Bugsnax, and all of the names are extremely weird, but they just say them with such like conviction that it's like.
You can tell that the voice cast is very bought into the premise. Like
Yes.
That's
they're
pretty good.
fans as much as actors.
So I've got questions.
Yeah.
I mean, like
so-
honestly, like I still do too, and I'm playing it.
We've got dancers.
Oh no, not again.
Oh.
Danny O'Dwyer, please join us. But
Yeah.
so I've heard. Well, where to start? So you said it was a Metroidvania. What kind of skills
Sort of.
do you? Metroidvania-esque. What kind of skills are you getting? Like, I know part of the game seems like you're kind of playing Pokemon Snap with a camera and stuff. But like, are you getting new abilities and skills?
Yeah, you're
Catch-up
getting new.
slingshot?
Yeah, that's one of the first things that you get is a slingshot that does various sauces. Like the first one that you get is ketchup, but you get also like I've also gotten chocolate hot sauce and ranch that I can throw at things.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
I've also
like
started to
that.
get a couple of other tools to so that's like the biggest one is that you get different tools that allow you to catch things in different ways. Like one like there's just there's like a almost like a weapon wheel that like
Yes.
you can do to choose.
It's like a tool wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, to get to each tool, and there's still like I've played a couple hours of it so far, and there's still several tools left for me.
And
so I'm like,
Cool.
The way that you're catching them is you have a tool that you start with, and I'm sure you get different traps, but you get a basic trap that you start with, and you put it on the ground, and when a bug snack walks close to it, you pull the trigger, and it closes the trap, and then you've caught the snack. So
yeah, there are certain bug snacks though that like will be do not work with
like it
with
layers.
that trap.
Yeah,
but,
even just in the very opening areas, there's
Yeah.
also like a bug snack that flies around and it
Yeah.
will grab traps. So you have to make sure that the place you put the trap is not on the path of that bug snack,
yeah.
so that it can't grab the trap while you're waiting for
There's
the other bug
one
snack you're trying to catch to come
Bug snack
into
that
it.
sets the trap on fire, and there's no fail
Cool.
state. Like there's no health, but you can definitely get yourself set on fire in this game.
That's good.
Has there been any reference to Octodad?
Not
'Cause
that
that's-
I've seen yet.
That's their previous and only other game, right?
Yes. Yeah, I haven't seen anything. I think just mostly the I don't know. I mean, both games are very weird.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
that's kind of
I
the
like playing this one a lot more than Octodad, but yes.
Cool. I'll leave my questions there because otherwise we'll be here all day.
Yeah, the only other I was gonna say that it's pretty fun the way it uses the triggers and the speaker. The triggers are on PS5 are like it gives you different tension based on what tools you're using and stuff. So it
that's
feels,
sweet.
each tool feels a little bit unique.
God, maybe I'll have to like play it again when I get a PlayStation.
Yeah, I
5.
think it's worth seeing a little bit of it. It's not like holy shit, how you can't play this without a dual
right,
sense.
but just like to
It's
yeah.
fun. Like the slingshot will like kind of tense as you pull it and then click at the end for letting go and stuff, which is fun.
I just remembered I do have one question and then I'll leave it there. In that initial trailer that showed up that kind of shook the world, it kind of alluded at the end that there was like a horror kind of like weirdness going on. Have you run into any of that so far?
It's I mean, Allison's further than me. It's kind of permeates the whole thing to an extent. There's like there's no horror. It's not a horror game. Like there's no jump scares or anything.
No.
But you're also like, it opens with a video from this like explorer who found the island, and they're like, you're like, this is weird. Why are you doing this? And so it has sort of a whole thing to that of like the characters are just very strange, sort of in a don't hug me I'm scared way, where it doesn't feel like it's just doing it to be absurd. It does feel like there's internal logic and a narrative.
Right, and the characters like all have like, you know, character, you know, likes and dislikes and drives and like actual character.
Yeah,
but
yeah, they're good.
they're
They're
but you
weird.
also but it is like an internal logic for sure.
And like the one character that I have been working for is this ketchup farmer, and he's like you know, I've been I can't keep the bungers in check. You gotta catch them, and then I'm gonna eat them. And it's like, whoa, dude. This got weird. So it's that kind of stuff that feels a little off kilter.
That's great.
Yeah. So and from what I understand, the horror part of it is expanded upon as you kind of go through the game, although it never turns into a game that is a horror game, and it never turns into something that's like too scary to play. From what I was hearing Patrick Klepek talk about on Waypoint, it goes some fucking wild places with the story, but it
I'm
never
so excited.
It never stops.
And Vinny both said the same on the Bombcast.
It never stops.
Ben said that Vinny texted him at midnight 3 days before saying, huh.
Yeah, it never gets like not appropriate for family, but that it's definitely, Klepek was kind of saying that it's definitely like the best kind of like kids movie where it's got content for adults in there. It's not that it's inappropriate. It's just on a level that is aimed at adults more.
Cool.
It's good. You should play Bugsnax. Everyone should play Bugsnax.
I like that there's no fail state.
If I can get a PlayStation 5.
If you can't get a PlayStation 5, I'll gift you a copy of Bugsnax on the PS4.
Sony just chose to release fewer PlayStation 5s than they did PlayStation 4s, apparently.
In Japan, yeah.
Just,
I mean,
just like
what was the number? Like
parts are so small they can't fit.
Yeah, it's 89% of the console market in Japan is eaten up by the Switch, I think, something like that.
Yeah, it's absurd.
So there's like no reason to launch for them because they're not going to be able to catch the Switch anyway. Was basically what I heard.
The Switch has been the best-selling game console in worldwide for the last 23 months consecutively.
Yeah,
which is mental.
There's just I don't know. It's silly.
I'm sure you'll be able to play Bugsnax next holiday on Switch.
Talking to my girlfriend, who is Japanese, she is like actually a little like bummed out that Sony is being like not supporting Japan as much. Like there's a little bit of like, but Japan, PlayStation is Japanese. They should want to be here in Japan. So it's a little like,
I mean, it would be like
for her to like realize.
It'd be like if Smith & Wesson released a new handgun and you couldn't get it in the United States.
God.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yes, one-to-one comparison there.
Maybe you can go get a PS5 at a game show, and they won't.
Yeah, game shows, those are happening.
You don't need to register for.
They won't check your ID. You don't have to. Yeah. You can just through it. You use a loophole. You just have to go. You can go to Tokyo, buy the console off a table there, and then take it back home.
Yeah, Super Potato does background checks, but if you just go to TGS, you can just get a console.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yep. Go to
Maybe just
Comic-Cat.
open a bank account; they'll probably give you one.
I did get in another lottery for one that I'll know in like 10 days if I got that one.
Jeez.
And
hardware launches in 2020.
Hey, at least they're like, hey, here's a lottery.
Yeah.
And like if you want it, but that still hasn't stopped scalpers. Prices are not as ridiculous in Japan as they are in the States for the PS5. Like aftermarket, they were up around like 1,000 US, but they've come down to like 800-ish. Like there's still people trying to get like 1,200. I'm like, my guy, read the room. Look at what other people are selling for.
think-
You're not even close.
I think that, and so I haven't started Demon Souls yet. It's on my hard drive. I have so much shit to play right now that it's just been like, I've made peace with the fact that it's going to take me a while to kind of get through and start everything. I really think, and we'll talk a little more about the issues with launch later on, but I really, really think if you did not get a PS5, I understand where you're coming from, Andre, because we do a podcast and there's a certain degree of like, I just want the thing. I get that. I respect that.
I always want the thing.
If you, yeah, I do too. So I'm with you. If you feel that way, I'm not trying to take away your dismiss or take away your frustration at not being able to get one. I would say, having played Miles and Bugsnax and Astrobot, you don't necessarily need to spend $400 or $500 on one of these boxes today anyway, because I am confident that Miles doesn't lose much by playing it on PS4. I am confident that Bugsnax doesn't lose much playing it on PS4. So, I mean, if you're a huge Souls fan and really got to play Demon Souls is definitely the thing that made me go like, fuck, I guess I'm going to keep this thing. But I just don't think this is the sort of thing that you should feel really bad if you can't get one. Like, I don't know that you should hold yourself back from playing games that you want to play if you're like, oh, I might not be able to get one until next year.
Yeah.
Because it's just not
Free.
It's a cool, I know it's a cool, I mean, I'm very happy with the PlayStation 5. I think it's a great console, and I'm excited and encouraged by what they're already doing with some of these games, visually with the controller and stuff. But I'm also not like, you're missing out. I mean, it's another box that with a controller that feels very similar to use, except for some of the weird, cool haptic trigger stuff. And let's put it this way: I'm going to be spending a lot of time on my PC still. I'm not like, all I want to do is play PS5. I'm playing Call of Duty on my PC, and so it's, you know, it's a cool box. If you can get one, cool. I wouldn't feel super bad if it takes a bit.
That's my secret, Cap. I always feel bad.
Yeah, and I get it. If you're someone who just wants the new thing, that's a different story, right? Like, there's plenty of people, myself included, who feel that way. But
For me, as someone with a launch PS4, this week I really started feeling the age of it.
yeah, I get it. Yeah. I think especially part of the reason I say that probably is because I've been using a PS4 Pro for the last year. I think if you have a non-Pro PS4, it probably feels a little bit more long in the tooth. Certainly, if you have a PS4 Pro, you'll be fine to play Miles and stuff on it. I think probably.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played Miles yet, but I have a launch PS4 too, and it's like I haven't had any issues with Bugsnax. So.
And like the load times on Miles are really wild. Like it's a very crazy thing that you can like fast travel and it just basically zooms in. I mean, like it does fade to black for a second, but that's really cool. But because of the way that game is structured so far, I haven't done that at all really, except to see it. Because it's very much a game that's like, okay, you did this, now go do this, now go do this, now go do this, and it's like you swing for a kilometer and you're at the next place. So it's not really a game that requires a lot of fast traveling around to go through the story anyway. So the load times aren't very painful.
I think I'll be using it for the New Game Plus run if I decide to try and get the platinum.
Yeah.
Like just
well, I didn't say when I talked about it. The new Peter. The model looks fine. Hearing Yuri Lowenthal's voice come out of that model is fucking weird. It's like Sam, if you took your child and started talking and overlaid your voice coming out of your child's mouth. It's just like he looks so young and sounds like a 30-year-old or older.
I want clips of baby Todd Howard with Todd Howard's voice coming through.
Oh, please.
That's what it's like.
Please.
And I'm sure part of it's because I played with the other Peter face, but
we can make his first words be Skyrim.
Peter.
Oh God.
Peter is there early in Miles, and you do a thing together at the beginning. And I was like, oh yes, Yuri's back. I love Peter Parker. He's so great. And then he takes his mask off at one point and starts talking, and I like physically recoiled. It's like, oh, that's not right at all. It's like if Robert Downey Jr.'s voice came out of Tom Holland's mouth. Like it's just
It feels very strange.
very strange. I don't like it. Maybe I'll get used to it. I hope I do, because it's not like they're going to change it back, but it's very weird and jarring.
His head is so round.
Yes. And the thing is if his voice matched better, it'd be fine. Like the model's fine. It looks fine. I'm over it the way it looks, but the voice is such a mismatch to me. Because like Yuri Lowenthal has that kind of like, crackly is the wrong word, but his voice, is a little bit like
Like
I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's the way to put it. And it just doesn't look like that character should sound that way. It looks like he should sound like Tom Holland. And if he did, it'd be fine. But Yuri's voice just doesn't fit at all with that model. Anyway.
Right. Well, Sam, do you need to get going?
Yeah, I do. I have some parenting to do.
Baby Tom
Alright.
Howard is
You got to fill in those clips.
Yep, got a Skyrim. Just
I was just
say,
gonna try and get him
only
a brown
say
leather
Skyrim.
jacket.
Only say Skyrim around that baby.
Sam, so I think the deep faking industry is really gross and bad, but if you took video of your child and we used deep learning software to make it look like Todd Howard's voice is coming out of his face, is that something we would be allowed to do? You don't have to answer here. You can think about it and get back to us later.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go. Good cast.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys later.
All right. What else we got on here? We got, I guess the next thing's going to be CODBLOPS Cold War.
Yeah.
The direct sequel to Call of Duty Black Ops from the PS3. God, it's so long ago.
You don't. It's a new game. I mean, it's a sequel.
It is the most direct sequel because everything else is like 20. Like I don't know. In the future from now, it's
Black Ops 2 is a direct sequel to it, and Black Ops 2
like takes place in like 2029 or something, doesn't it?
Yes, but it's still it's a very much a Metal Gear Solid 4 thing. It's a Black Ops 2 is
war has changed.
I mean, Alex finished CODBLOPSCW, but the I remember Black Ops 2 being a much more direct sequel to the first game.
Mason numbers.
This one,
Cuba.
This one, Mason is there and Woods is there, but it's also like not. You can play it.
Reagan's there.
Yeah, don't get me fucking started. You can play it without playing the first Black Ops if you don't want to go back and play that game.
I will say, having finished it, you would benefit a lot from playing the first Black Ops.
Maybe I'll put it down and play the first Black Ops again because I don't remember enough then.
And I think Pat has, in our chat, has talked about some of his misgivings with parts of it between the Reagan and the Vietnam stuff. And I will say all of that stuff comes together at the end and it makes sense.
Good to know.
And it is not played just for like, I don't know, shock value or like...
It's less... Sorry, go ahead.
It's not as insensitive or seemingly pointless as you think it is.
That's good because like the thread in Modern Warfare is, I understand Modern Warfare has bad politics. The way they reskin some actual conflicts to be like, actually Russia's committing war crimes sucks 100%. What I will say, that stuff aside, with Modern Warfare is you get the sense throughout Modern Warfare that the people that are the people like Alex, not Mason, and Price know what they're doing is wrong because they know fighting wars is bad. And the tone of the game to me throughout Modern Warfare was very much this is probably not the best way to go about solving any of these problems, and we still spiral into endless conflict, and that's not good. Like, that's sort of, but like, we don't know how else to deal with these problems. And it, to me, was certainly not like all the way to anti-imperialist or pacifist in its messaging, but it definitely felt like Price understands that kidnapping someone and threatening to kill their wife and child in front of them is a bad thing to do, like morally repugnant thing to do. So far for me in Black Ops, it's felt more like what I said, the way I worded it in our chat is like, sometimes you have to level a village in Vietnam because otherwise the communists will take away your freedom. And it's like, no, fuck you. That sucks. So it's good to hear that it's more critical of that later on, because so far I've been enjoying playing it a lot because the missions are awesome, but it has definitely been like very red scary and very much like socialism and communism are evil. Ronald Reagan is defending your freedom. Shut the fuck up. Like, we're the good guys.
Yeah, you should get to the
and
end.
Not
of it.
critical of that. That's good. I plan to, because I really enjoy playing it, and the characters are great too. So
yeah, the characters are. Yeah, I have a lot of actually really positive things to say about the campaign. Like, for me, having finished it, I would say it's maybe, I don't know, best versus favorite is hard to say, but
sure,
maybe best since Call of Duty 4, or like maybe since Black Ops Original, depending on your personal preference, because they're both really good and for different reasons.
Both of those, yeah.
Yeah, and like one of my favorite parts of it is how it is very un-Call of Duty in a lot of ways. Like, I think by the point you're at, Pat, it's still very Call of Duty. Like it Call of Duty campaigns kind of can start to feel formulaic. Like they kind of stick to the roots of what they've put together. Like they look at their old games and are like, yeah, we're going to make something kind of like that and maybe add some stuff around the periphery. Like one of the things it feels like they don't do is they don't look to other games for inspiration. Like they just stick within their bubble and make stuff within that bubble. And by like the halfway point or beyond in this game, it feels like they obviously look to some other games for inspiration, which is really cool. Like I can say these aren't spoilers, but maybe Pat, you should take your headphones off and listeners, maybe skip ahead like 30 seconds if you want to be surprised and have, any intention or inkling to play it. Yeah. So, all right. 30 seconds. I'll be less than that, so skip ahead. It straight up has a Hitman level where you don't fire a gun for like an hour. You're just stealthing around this like open-ended, open-worldy kind of level and approaching like the problems however you want. Like you can poison stuff. You can like go into a computer and change these codes and then it changes people's schedules and stuff.
Can I throw a can of spaghetti?
Almost. There's lots of dialogue choices that you can make, like lots of like dialogue and action choices, like, oh, do I shoot this guy? Do I save him? Blah, 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 blah. And that actually affects the story. And like near the end of the game, it gets very Specs Op the line-y. I don't know how to turn that into a verb.
Ops.
Yeah, like Spec Ops the line. It gets like that in some very ways. And there's even a little bit of Control in there for those who like that. Like it's,
I would expect that from Black Ops.
Yeah. But that stuff has been really refreshing and it's really cool. It's really polished and it's just a really good shooter campaign. So I think if you have any interest in Call of Duty, this is one that's worth playing, even just for the campaign. I haven't jumped into multiplayer yet. I will. But all of that positivity being said, as mentioned before, holy shit, my launch PS4 did not like playing it at all. Like, I have to say, it's easily the worst experience I've had playing on that console. Like, one time I got an achievement, and I was like, oh, let's see, I don't know what that achievement was for. Let's push the PlayStation button and see what it was. So I click it, and it took like a solid 10, maybe 15 seconds to actually get to like the dashboard. And the whole time it was a blue screen and the game audio just kept playing like it was still going. And then as soon as it got to the dashboard, it was extremely laggy. Like it was like, it took like a solid 5 to 10 seconds just to be able to move around. And then afterwards, switching back, like hitting X on the game icon, it took like 30 seconds for it to actually get back in. Like, it was crazy. It was really bad, and like lots of hitching, and like frame rate drops down to the tens, like maybe with some particularly dense gameplay parts. Like,
It's rough.
It's really pushing the cross-gen boundaries. I imagine PS5 version, it probably looks and plays better, but it was rough on the launch PS4.
It's interesting. So I'm playing it on PC. The PC port's spectacular. I mean, it's flawless. It's really, really, really good. Really
awesome.
good. Modern Warfare was also really good. To the extent that, I mean, if they can keep up this quality of PC ports, I'll probably never play on console again, even beyond just mouse and keyboard, because there's so much there. Interestingly, it defaulted to putting my some settings lower and then putting ray tracing on to medium, which was, I was pulling about 55 frames per second, like standard with my setup, and then it would occasionally hitch a little bit. So I just turned ray tracing off and cranked up all the other settings, and turned DLSS off and cranked up all the other settings, and I'm getting 60 frames per second. It's great at 1080. So performance is really good. I can say that the multiplayer is, I think, really excellent. I played, I think I have 400 hours of gameplay in Modern Warfare at this point. I've played that game more than any other game over the last year because my friends play it and we play it together, and it's definitely become one of my favorite multiplayer games ever. I don't know if I think Cold War is as good as it, but it's very hard to say that objectively at this point because I'm so in with Modern Warfare. But I will say that I played about 3.5, 4 hours of the multiplayer last night, and at no point was I like, we should just go back and play Modern Warfare. The whole time I was like, no, this is fun. It's not quite, doesn't feel quite as good as Modern Warfare to me yet, but the ways in which it's different, I like, and it's fun to have a fresh start, new maps, all that stuff. And tonally, I find the 80s a more interesting period to set a multiplayer shooter than
Totally
Modern Warfare. So if they continue to tighten the gameplay, not that I think it needs it necessarily because it's still great now, but if they can tighten it up even a little bit more, and continue to add good maps, I think it could. It's a very valid torchbearer that to kind of take the torch that Modern Warfare offered it. And it's interesting, and this is something that is driving a lot of like the vocal minority of the of the Call of Duty community crazy, and I think it's kind of funny. They took a lot from Modern Warfare, from like the way the menus are structured and the way that unlocks are structured, the way that prestiging is structured. And it's, in my opinion, objectively better than how they've done it in the past. But because it's not as like, it's more accessible and more approachable now, there's the vocal minority that hates it and wants it to go back to the days when it was less fun, because that was like, it's a badge of honor to prestige and lose all of the stuff that you've unlocked to them, which is ridiculous to me. But
it's a little silly.
Yeah, I agree. But it has very good skill-based matchmaking again, which drives people up a wall. The one thing that they brought back that I super do not like is map voting.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Which people celebrated that it was coming back. But the cool thing about Modern Warfare is you play every map. There's like 8 maps or something at launch for Cold War, and I've seen 2 of them like 4 times because people vote for them every time, and I haven't seen 2 of them because they always get outvoted. And it's like, I would like to see these other maps, which is just frustrating. But
just like Mario Kart.
Totally. But
No,
yeah, the way the unlocks work is good. The gunsmith is virtually the same from Modern Warfare. The unlock structure is very similar. They show the stats more now. So like Modern Warfare, the guns will have like range, damage, speed, mobility, those kinds of stats, and they don't really tell you what they do. And the only reason that we have any idea is because people have basically like tested it to death to figure it out, but no one knows for sure what like centimeter increase in mobility does for the gun. They surface all that stuff now, so it's like it'll be 40% faster for you to go from sprint to fire with this attachment, and so that's really smart and feels good.
Yeah. So one last thing I'll say about CODBLOPSCW is that it's interesting with how popular Warzone has got, that now there is a free Call of Duty that people can play, and it's pretty fully featured and awesome. Like, whether or not you like it is up to your personal taste, but it's free and it's good. So the idea that a $60 product is now also on shelves, that like if you're questioning whether or not you should actually play it, I will say 100%. It is very worth it. Like, it is very polished. It is very well put together, and like it's just very good shooting. Like, I think Call of Duty had a dark period for a while where it was just like it was just by the books, by the numbers. It wasn't very good. Like Ghosts era, like that kind of stuff. Even Advanced Warfare, which I thought was interesting. Like those, they weren't great. But like between this one and Modern Warfare, it feels like they finally brought it back in a way that doesn't feel like they're just spinning their tires.
I think that I like the shooting in Modern Warfare and Black Ops Cold War more than in Destiny, which says something, because Destiny has some incredible shooting and gun mechanics in it. What I will say is it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the next month if you're into these games, because currently Warzone is still part of Modern Warfare's like program. So if you click Warzone in the Cold War menu, it says like launching Warzone, and then it closes Cold War and launches the Modern Warfare client. So in December, they're launching the first season of the Battle Pass, which you'll be able to level by playing Modern Warfare, Warzone, or Black Ops Cold War. And it sounds like they're moving Warzone to the Cold War client, and then that's when all of the Cold War guns and skins are going to get integrated into Warzone. The question is, does that mean that it's going to still all be ported to the Modern Warfare engine, which is what Warzone runs on?
Who knows?
It's a lot of question marks. And then on top of that, is there going to be a new like map soon? I mean, Warzone has a lot of, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it on an academic level for sure. I will say too, I did play a level of zombies. It's very fun. I think if you're someone who's like, zombies is stupid, you should try playing zombies if you have the game, because it's better than the past couple of iterations. The zombies have health bars like people do when you're playing multiplayer, so it's very satisfying to like ping off their health bars. And it's got a lot of weird shit in it. You go into the upside down and stuff. It's fun.
Okay. Well, that's Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War War Crimes Simulator.
Yeah.
Non-binary war crime simulator.
Yes. They are throwing white phosphorus at the combatants.
More queer drone operators. Don't even fucking get me started.
What do you look?
Some tweets and some talk.
There's always there's always tweets. There's always talk.
I'm very happy that Joe Biden won the presidential election, but also we're off to the races already, baby.
Just, people over 75, they're just like riding around on like a scooter. Like, what are they even doing? It's not living.
What other video games do we have to talk about?
Alex finished some games.
Yeah, I finished three games.
Three games this
Yeah,
week.
you had
see what happens. See what happens when you don't play a 130-hour game.
Or you finish one at like
or if you finish one,
you finished a 130-hour game.
You can actually do other things. I don't know. Which one do you want to hear about? The 130-hour one, or the one probably none of you have heard of?
So you've been talking about Umineko for weeks now, and I feel like we know your feelings on, unless like something drastically changed.
Kind of.
Last week you said it was probably your favorite, I don't know, favorite piece of media, or was it favorite? Yeah, like okay,
probably.
That still holds true.
I would say so. It's really fascinating. It's I will have more thorough thoughts. I have a review that's like 3/4 of the way penned. I'm stepping away from it and coming back to it to make sure I get all the thoughts in there without being too crazy, because I don't want to I don't want a review of a 130-hour thing to take an hour itself to read. So it's trying to be pretty concise with a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it comes out the other side as probably my favorite story across mediums. Like it's extremely well executed throughout, and it really nails the landing in a really fascinating way. In where I can see that it influenced a lot of other things that I super love. Like, it's pretty clear that it was probably a direct inspiration for Danganronpa 3's ending. So if you finish that, you have an idea of what that means.
Oh, this is like going places now.
But the thing about Umineko versus Danganronpa 3's ending, where Danganronpa's 3 ending is like the last 2 hours,
Yeah.
Umineko has that kind of stuff. And then there's another like several chapters beyond that. Like it pushes things way further. And like it really makes you think pretty hard about like the value of fiction and like how much impact a well-told story can have on actual human beings and stuff like that. It dives into some really deep stuff, and it does it really well. So I have a hard time saying anything particularly negative about Umineko, because like the only negative thing I would say about it is that Ryukoshi could do with an editor, because it is
a 130-hour game.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very long, but like all of it is very lovingly crafted. Like all the dialogue is like just all of it serves a purpose. It's just there's a hell of a lot of it, and that's the only real downside. So yeah, we've been talking about it for over a month, and I don't want to draw it out for too much longer. But yeah, it came out the other side saying it's spectacular. It's weirdly, I might put it as my game of the year this year, I think, despite the fact that it came out in English in 2017. But I'm not going to use that rule to get around our thing of like, oh, everybody's number one game gets onto the list for game of the year, because that would feel weird. But there you go. On my personal list, it's probably number one.
Alex does not get a game on the Gaming Fix top 10 of the list.
Just like 2018.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Yep.
That would have been your chance. But
Yeah, no,
all
it's
right.
super, super fucking good.
Okay. Well, if you, for some reason, are looking for a 130-hour visual novel, Umineko.
Oh, by the way, it does get gameplay in the last chapter,
Oh.
or the last
dang.
episode. Yeah. Like-
Okay, is it like Danganronpa gameplay where you're like, I wish this wasn't here?
No, it's more like it's more like you're actually solving some of the crimes, and it's not holding your hand anymore. You're not just a passive observer; you're actually participating, and it's
Okay, fine.
actually pretty cool.
I wish there was like more of that in games, like with less hand holding, but also I don't want to play 125 hours to get to it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that there was more like of stuff like that in games, especially like solving mysteries. But I feel like I would get like, I would say that, and then I'd get to it and be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
You've probably
So-
forgotten most of Return of the Obra Dinn at this point.
It's got some of that to it, but I would say like if you do have trouble, it does give you a couple of things you can use to bail yourself out with. And yeah, anyways, it's really good. Umineko kicks ass.
All right. Well, how about this next game? Well,
Yeah.
there is no game.
There isn't.
I don't know. That's what this thing says.
Well, I don't know if we can talk about that then. If there's no game.
Okay.
All right,
well,
moving on.
Like a dragon.
So there is no game. Last episode, I'd asked the room kind of which game I should play, like kind of ahead
and
of
we
our
told
game.
you Yakuza like a dragon.
We did. Yep. Yeah. So, and we talked about some stuff that all of us have played, but this one came recommended
Yakuza
by
like a dragon.
by a listener of the show, a good friend who listened to that episode, and they said that this is probably their game of the year. And I had never heard of it, so I was like, okay, yeah, let's check it out. Gave it a shot, and I think I can see why it's their game of the year. Like, it's really good. It's a total love letter to adventure games. like old school PC like point and click adventure games.
Yeah, it looks like LucasArts adventure games
So
specifically.
yeah, like one of the very first areas it brings you into may as well be a straight up Scum engine game, like
Yeah.
complete with the icons on the bottom for you to interact with like the environment in the different ways and stuff. And it's also very LucasArtsy in that like it has a hint system where if you ask for a hint for a specific thing, it has 3. And you know, the first one's a very broad one to push you in the right direction. The second one's less subtle, and then the third one's just like, here's the answer, you dumbass.
Here it is. Yeah.
But like, it's funny because all the while it's like chastising you and booing you for using the hint system. It's like, oh, boo. It's really funny. But like some of the puzzles are actually really tough, which makes that hint system helpful. I did my initial playthrough avoiding hints altogether just because that's how I like to play adventure games. But yeah, went back through and checked out that hint system. It's really good. But so all of that saying, like, it is taking a lot of cues from games like Pony Island. I don't know if any of you played Pony Island, but where it's more about deconstructing games as a whole and like kind of pretending there's not even a fourth wall present, which depending on how it's executed can be good or bad. And in this one, I would say it's good. Like the whole premise of it is that you've started this game, but the game doesn't want to be played. So its goal is basically to try and get you to quit it so you'll leave it alone, which is fun. And it pulls it in some really interesting directions. It gets pretty subversive and like very self-aware, but not in a like annoying way or like a cheeky way. It's more clever.
Because the Steam page, as often happens, it's like incredible 3D graphics that are flat, completely flat, and very pixelated. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want that like starts to seem like it's going like, for example, I don't really want to play a game that has the tone of Superland again. And it seems like from the Steam description it could kind of go that way, but knowing that it's you saying it's not cheeky is a good descriptor, I think.
No, it's good. I don't know how much to dive into it because like there's a lot of things that are just good to experience in it.
How long
and
is it?
Depends if you use hints and stuff, or if you're using no hints and you get stuck a few times, probably about 5 hours.
Okay.
If you use hints, probably less, maybe a little bit more, depending on how you approach those kinds of games. Like if you're taking breaks and stuff like that, maybe 6 hours. But
because it's only $13, so I'm just wondering if it's a shorter experience, which to me, it being shorter would be a positive.
Yeah, it's relatively inexpensive. There's also a demo, I believe.
It's like a game jam version from 2015.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. I think it's worth playing. It's interesting. It's funny. Like I don't know. I don't really have anything particularly negative to say about it. It's good.
All right. That it does sound interesting. Maybe I'll check this out.
The system requirements are kind of funny. They're like, it's like OS, Windows 7 Service Pack 1 Plus, or Windows 10. Processor x86 x64 architecture with SSE2 instruction set support. Like anyone knows what that means.
Yeah.
Like 4 gigabytes of RAM, graphics Intel HD 4000.
Sound card built in.
Yeah. So 950
Oh.
megabytes of available space for storage. That's clever. I like the system requirements.
If you look at the Mac OS X graphics, metal capable Intel and AMD GPUs.
Like they're not. I mean,
No, that's
those are
that's
things.
accurate.
It's real system requirements. It's just funny.
Yeah. I will say one of the other things about it that kind of I wasn't expecting is that it has a pretty good narrative that actually hits some emotional beats, which I wasn't expecting. Cool. So yeah, it's good.
I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, it looks like something I would potentially enjoy. I'm very hard on comedy games generally because I feel like very few games actually go for comedy as their core thing and hit it. But this one sounds, what you're saying sounds encouraging for this one. So
it's comedy quote unquote comedy game in the same way a LucasArts game is, like where it's
Yeah.
there, but it's not like necessarily the focus.
And that's like the way, basically, like Double Fine and LucasArts are the places that have consistently been able to deliver that
Totally.
in a way that's quality. So yeah,
Steam reviews are overwhelmingly positive.
it also
on
has
this.
great critic reviews too, which you never really. It's rare to see a game that has really high critic and user reviews.
Especially for an adventure game, a point and click adventure game.
All right. Well, that brings us to we've been doing all sorts of like RPGs this week. We got Cold Steel. I think there was another one. Wasn't there another RPG? I don't know. What have we talked about on this episode?
Cold
The
Steel, Miles,
biggest
Astro's Playroom.
Yeah, Astro's Playroom is the biggest RPG.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, we do have another big RPG this week. Just came out.
It's a big game, man.
Yakuza Like a Dragon, aka Yakuza 7 in Japan, but they were like, we don't want to scare off the Westerners who haven't played any of the other games, so we'll just call it Like a Dragon, so people know it's like a fresh start, because this game is no longer about Kiryu and friends. It is about Kasuga Ichiban, who is
Your favorite cup noodle.
he does look a bit. He's got that ramen hair.
He's got that hair, yeah.
He's not as much as Naomi Osaka, but he's got that. He wanted the punch perm, but that lady is like, I don't know what
that is. So
this is
just this weird
2018,
mess.
my guy. Yeah. Yakuza. Well, Alex, Allison, and I are all playing it.
Yep.
So Alex, you're pretty early on, right?
Yeah, I would have been further if it worked on PC for me.
Yeah.
That's what we can get to that, but yeah, I just got to the first point where you can kind of run around the open world. So
Okay.
like,
So you
probably
did,
like
that first fight, and then
yeah, I'm like half an hour,
Okay.
maybe 45 minutes in.
Gotcha.
90% of that was cutscene.
Yes, exactly.
100%.
Yeah, Allison,
Yeah, there's a lot of cutscene in that early game. It's like good cutscenes, but there were definitely points where I was playing it the first night I had it, and I was like, how much have I actually played of this game so far?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm like 10 hours in, I think.
Okay.
Oh,
You're
wow,
a
nice.
good chunk in.
Yeah, a good chunk in. Yeah.
I'm like 3.5, 4 hours in. I just finished chapter 2, which I think is the point where now, like in chapter 3, things are opening up a bit. Because
that's when things
like,
start
the
to
first
open
two
up more.
chapters are just a lot of table setting. It is a very slow open, and you're going to be watching a lot of cutscenes, hearing a lot about the workings of Yakuza crime families and backroom dealings and espionage subterfuge.
Watching a kabuki show.
Sure.
Yeah, as you do.
Going to prison for 18 years, all that good shit. And that brings, Ichiban is a low-ranking member of the Tojo clan in a family, which is the same family that Kiryu from the previous Yakuza games belonged to. But Ichiban ended up in prison for basically the entire time that Kiryu was out of prison after, like, basically this. Oh God, what date does Yakuza Kiwami 1 take place? Like, basically the entire Yakuza 1 to 6 takes place basically during the time that Ichiban is in prison. So Kiryu and Ichiban never crossed paths during that time. But then, so Ichiban had to take the fall for something he didn't do, which is very typical for these games. And then is out and trying to get back in touch with like his family and all the people he worked with. And things are
not quite what he expected.
Things are hinky.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And so it's very much like that story that has been in the previous Yakuza games, where it's very intricately woven decades long stories that come to a head in like this 40-hour game or whatever it is, 40-hour like story.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's no way I'm completing this in 40 hours. Considering
with all the side stuff and whatnot. It's but basically I was looking, and it's like main story like 40 hours to beat, which is it's a good chunk. Very intricately woven plots and interesting characters, over the top cutscenes and fights.
Yeah.
But they have made a massive departure from the previous games, which were all beat 'em ups, brawlers, and this is now a JRPG turn-based combat situation,
which they justify in universe because Ichiban is a big fan of Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
So he's very specifically like, he views his world like an RPG. So it's like, that's to the point where it's like people are like, you'd be a better fighter if you actually like didn't let people do that. But it's like he just views things so much as an RPG that it, for better or worse.
It was interesting to hear them drop the actual Dragon Quest name.
Yep.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
like it's like, this isn't a Sega game. Okay, cool.
No,
Yeah.
he keeps talking about Dragon Quest like over and over, and you're like, okay, cool, Ichiban, that's what you're into, I guess. So.
And Japanese people love Dragon Quest.
Japanese people do love Dragon Quest, but
You get the slime onigiri from the 7-Eleven. Tastes
Really?
like almond rice. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That sounds all right.
Yeah, but it tastes like almond rice. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, almond rice is good. So,
does it have ketchup in it?
Demi-glaze sauce, please. Yeah, so with it being like a JRPG and turn-based system, you do get party members that have and like special abilities. So you're not doing like combos so much. You're just like, okay, I'm gonna attack like you might expect, and it's kind of borrowing some stuff from like Persona, where you can knock people down.
yeah,
And then if you can hit them again before they can stand up, you'll do extra damage.
Yeah, and then also there's like, you don't position your characters, but you have to keep the positioning of characters in mind. So like if you want to, for example, you have like one of your characters who's on like the far left, and you have got like an enemy on the far right, and you're like, I want to like get this one specific person some damage because they've already taken damage. It's like, but if the positioning is off, then your attack might be blocked.
Like you could try to run by another enemy, and that enemy could hit you and stop that attack.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if you run by like a sofa, you might pick that sofa up and use that as a weapon.
Yeah.
Which is all stuff you would do in the brawling of Yakuza in previous games, but now you're just you have less direct control over that, and you're doing more interesting things with like doing debuffs or like taunting and like, oh, I'm gonna do this like special punch and I have to hit like square a bunch to charge it up before and do extra damage and get an extra effect, which is cool.
There's specific button presses and stuff.
Yeah,
you do.
and there's also like a active aspect to blocking where right before you get hit, if you hit the block button, then you'll take less damage. There's also just like the traditional like, oh, I'm going to use my turn to guard because there's a big attack coming. So yeah, it's very
or
much
there's or it's like,
with
hey,
a little bit of extra action in there.
Ichiban is like low health, and I don't want Ichiban to die, so time to have him guard and have one of my party members do the attack. And then also all the party members kind of hit differently too. So you keep that in mind as well. So
there is a job system. So like you've got detective.
Again, I'm 10 hours in and I'm barely I think they just introduced it to me. Where there's like, here's the jobs. And I was like, yeah, you're still introducing a lot of stuff to me 10 hours in. This is sure a JRPG.
There's a magic stat. like why is it called magic? like is very interesting. Like they call MP mental points, which is like, okay, yeah, sure, mental points, that makes sense. But
Yeah.
there is just a straight up magic stat in the game, which is very amusing to me.
There's a like also, I mean, if you haven't played a Yakuza game, there's a lot of like weird nonsense in it too.
Oh, 100%.
Which is like you know, something that's par for the course for Yakuza, but like there are specific systems where you're just like, what are you doing here? Hang on. Like, or they specifically like reference like another game, or they specifically reference another thing, or it goes into a weird place that you were not expecting, but this is what's happening now. And
I think so far with this being a new character and stuff, I'm not liking Ichiban as much as I like Kiryu. I don't know if that's like
I love Ichiban, but like I haven't played it as much as you. I haven't played the originals as much as you. So
like there's an effortlessness, like Kiryu is just like whatever, I'm cool, like I'm just doing my thing, I'm chill. Ichiban has no chill.
Ichiban has zero chill. You said that, I was like, ooh, zero chill. I've described him as a himbo in our chat multiple times, and he is basically the stereotypical himbo.
And see,
where
Kiryu is too.
Kiryu is ultimate himbo. Like Kiryu is
Kiryu is like
he's strong, he's kind
and strong and handsome
and dumb,
but he also has a deep degree of emotional intelligence.
Yes.
That is like, he makes everyone around him feel special in a way that is like really wonderful, and is part of why he's such a fantastic character, because he says things and you're just like, I would never have figured out how to say a thing that would make someone feel as good as what you just said, Kiryu. You're so great.
Whereas emotional intelligence is not, I wouldn't say that's Ichiban's strong suit. There are certain points where you're like, dude, you need to learn how to read the room, my dude.
Kiryu never needs to learn to read the room. Kiryu always reads the room.
Ichiban does not know what reading the room means.
Kiryu just has his like, nani.
Yeah, sometimes
confused.
Sometimes Kiryu reads the room and he's like, what is going on?
He's still confused because there's a lot of nonsense, but
he's honest about being confused.
Ichiban has been in prison for 18 years, and if you were imprisoned from 2001, January 1st, 2001, that's when he got arrested, to 2018, the world changed quite a bit in that time, and you would be confused by a lot of what's going on, especially like the way his world was in particular was shaken up. But
and there's a lot of stuff where that's, I think, really interesting character-wise, where you do get that, brief bit at the start of the game where you see how his world works in 2000. Well, this is like December 31st, 2000. But then seeing how like drastically things have changed. I mean, part of it, how things have changed, is kind of obvious stuff. Like one of the early bits is where he's like trying to figure out how to use a smartphone, and he's just like, I don't know what this is. How do I call people on this phone? I've had other phones, but makes no sense. But other things are kind of more, how the world has shifted, and passed him by in a way. And I think it's interesting.
You may have touched on this already when I was up for a second, but is it tied to the other games in the series more than name and cameos?
So no, it seems to it takes place like right before Kiryu gets out of prison in 1. So basically right before the story of 1, of Yakuza 1, and then it jumps to after the story of Yakuza 6.
Okay.
Because he's in prison for 18 years, and I think Yakuza 6 is in like 2016
18 or 16. Yeah, something like that.
So it's basically they're like, the main thing that kicks off in like chapter 2 is there has been like a takeover of the Yakuza, and the Tojo clan has been usurped.
Okay.
And
by the
So
Omi
kind of knowing the
clan.
world
Yeah.
state after
Yeah.
6 is basically this extent, because I'm interested to play it. I still haven't played all the other ones, but I played 6 obviously. I think I'm gonna play it on PS5 because I have it, so I
So-
feel like I should
Next
Yeah.
year,
play it there.
March or whatever.
Yeah, and I have so much to play that I don't feel bad delaying it to there. I
Yeah.
mean, I would love to be able to have thoughts on it for Game of the Year, but also I have a lot to play. So
There's also 3 of us playing it. We can probably come to a consensus.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
I'll let you know if there's any baby football.
I mean, I'm gonna play it either way for sure because I'm interested in,
There's some stuff with babies. So
and there's always stuff with babies.
And idols.
There's always stuff.
Or
with
not
babies.
idols, with mascots.
There's always stuff with
I met one
mascots.
and
There's
I
always
was
stuff
so
with.
excited, you guys.
I was so happy to see that because I'm just like, Allison, you really should have been playing these games.
Yeah.
The
I
stuff
love
you're really
mascots.
excited
I love
about.
Japanese mascots, and I just saw one come up, and I was like, "It's you!" I
The
want.
stuff
And
you've been describing as being really excited about are not new features to the
Yeah.
Yakuza series.
What
So-
hey Andre, I know he's not. It's not necessarily the area, but has Ono Michio showed up at all?
That is, oh god, where is he's in like near Hiroshima? This
Yeah.
is so
That's,
no.
that's what I was
this
saying. It's probably not the
game-
same. It's not the same area, but
No, yeah, that's not even. That's much
Onomichi
further,
is-
like
Yeah.
southwestern.
Oh, my
of
favorite
Onomichi.
Tokyo, but
mascot.
Did
Ono
we
Michio
do-
is so good.
Did
I
we
love
do
that.
best moment?
No, but we talked about Ono Michio.
Okay, 'cause,
yeah,
I mean, I guess Yakuza 6 did do
God,
very
I do
well
need
in
to
our
play
Game of the
Yakuza
Year.
6, huh?
Yakuza 6 is
it's so
probably one of my favorite games of the generation.
good. Yeah,
It's really good.
It is.
I
extremely,
own
I mean,
literally every Yakuza game now,
And-
so
What's wild is Yakuza 6's gameplay itself is fine. It's not bad,
It's
but it's
fine.
not like it's nothing to write home about. But the story is like
I mean,
so
honestly,
incredible.
like that's kind of like one of those things where I know a lot of people were concerned about the shift from kind of the brawler to the
Yeah, that part doesn't.
the thing, but I'm like, I liked the gameplay from what I've played of Yakuza 0, but it's not something that it's like the draw for me of
Yeah,
the series.
sometimes it kind of gets in the way because
Yeah.
it's like I just want
Also,
to
there's
like
certain
beat this
times
fight.
I'm-
I don't really care about doing it well.
Yeah.
And there's certain times I'm really not good at it, and there was like a boss fight, and I'm like, oh my god, I am so tired of not being good at this.
There's a
but-
couple of fights in Yakuza 6 that I think are well served by it being the kind of game that it is. Like the fight in the burning building, Andre was one that I was like, wow, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
So there are occasionally moments like that, but I'm sure that they adapt to it being a JRPG and make those
they-
moments pop in
they
as
so
well.
there are like certain things. There's like one of the staples of the Yakuza games is basically raiding like a building and then
Yes.
like you know one man army going
footsteps.
through and kicking ass.
Like there's very
And-
distinct footsteps when they're sensible, but nice dress shoes are clacking through the floors.
Yeah, and then you have like these cutscenes in the middle of the fight where you like hit the last guy and then you just kick him through a door or something, or throw him through a window into another building, stuff like that, and you kind of lose some of that like frenetic pace because it's turn based, and you can still get it like all that stuff is just like you punch him and then it goes into a cutscene, so you still get that. But I think for the boss fights, it still works pretty well. At least the one I did. I don't know if it's like full boss, but it's like a more dramatic encounter. It worked well for that.
And there's a contrast too, because like that burning building fight is tough but really cool and cinematic, and I really enjoyed it. But then also the fight earlier in Yakuza 6 when you're fighting the guy, oh god, I can't remember a lot of their names.
Yeah, it's,
You're fighting him in the dojo where he cuts his finger off and stuff.
Oh, that'd be Yakuza 0.
Maybe I'm thinking I'm thinking of Yakuza 0 then. That fight in Yakuza 0, which I played like 10 hours of, and I actually like the combat in Yakuza 0 more than in Yakuza 6.
Yes, I agree.
But that boss fight in Yakuza 0 drove me up a wall. I hated it.
Oh, I'm glad it's not just me. 'Cause
It's like very early in the game.
Yes,
and
it's like the first thing
very-
you do. I hated that boss fight, so it kind of cuts both ways.
Yeah, but you get to
Glad
kick
it's
that
not
guy's
just me
ass
with
a
that boss
bunch in
fight.
that game.
Yeah,
God, when he comes when you go into the sewer and he's just riding at you on a motorcycle with a pipe screaming at you. That was so good.
That's the thing that is the most impressive, I think, about the Yakuza games is I would still like to play all of them, but I also roughly know what happens in all of them and have played bits and pieces of like 0, 1, and 3. And so I don't have the knowledge of someone who has played through all of them, but I feel fairly well versed in the series, and yet I would still like to play them all from start to finish, even though I know the plots and I know roughly how they play.
Yeah, I just want to like get all the plots, and I want to meet all the characters. I want to hang out with every single mascot in these games, and then do all the side quests too. Because like some of I'm excited. Because like 10 hours in, I've done some of the side stuff, but I haven't done a lot of it yet. So I'm excited to really,
it rolls out like very piecemeal.
Yakuza does is the thing. This is the same thing with Persona for me. The thing that Yakuza does better than 90% of games is just existing in its spaces is such a like enriching experience. Like just walking around the streets and going into restaurants and eating food and going into the arcades. It's such a rich world in so many ways. And I think to me, that's the strongest point of the series is that makes the stories feel very impactful and emotionally like engaging because you feel such a part of the world when you're walking around in it. So much more than most RPGs and certainly so much more than most JRPGs, in my opinion. Which is
and that's one of the things that I think is really strong about Like a Dragon so far is I feel like I feel really connected to this world so far, especially with dealing with the story and like one of the things that I thought was interesting in Yakuza 0, but I don't know if it's necessarily the best. It's like the money upgrade system I thought was really interesting, where you up your stats with actual money, but it kind of meant that like you always had like this surplus of money for literally everything else. So I never felt like, I never felt like a scarcity of it. And like if I needed to like get something to eat or get an item,
well, I mean,
get like a health item.
You're the Dragon of Dojima. You should not be having to pay for anything, really, because everyone should be terrified of you. But Kiri's a nice guy, so he pays.
Right. Whereas, like here, you really like there really is a scarcity pretty early on, to the point where I remember like I looked at the amount of money and I was like basically I think I said it out loud of like, we're gonna eat like kings tonight here, and like went into like a burger place and I was like, we're getting the full set today.
God, the food is looks so good.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it does.
The problem with playing Yakuza games is when I was playing Yakuza 6, which I played like, thankfully I played it very quickly over like a 2-week period. Because all I wanted to eat was Japanese food the entire time.
Oh yeah, and this game opens with some dope dim sum, and I was like, "Fuck!"
Oh yeah,
God damn.
I specifically Googled like to see if there's any place near me that had Odin, because I really wanted to eat Odin after some of that.
There's a really great moment in like the second chapter, the first chapter, like near the end of it, where Ichiban is at a beef bowl shop and just has this amazing interaction with the waiter. I can't remember what he says, but it made me laugh so hard.
That was such a good scene too. It's like emotional, but it's also funny, and also like I would kill for a beef bowl right now. So.
It's funny too.
It's this super like, basically it's like a last meal type situation, and Ichiban is like, well, no regrets, right? And the waiter looks at him and goes, never regret a beef bowl.
It's funny too, because as listeners will probably know, I'm pescatarian, so I'll eat fish, but I don't eat that much seafood. I'm like 95% vegetarian. And when I see like a beef bowl in real life, I'm like, I don't want to eat that, because like I'm not picking on. I would never like pick on anybody else's food, but like meat is not appetizing looking to me in real life. However, in Yakuza games, all of the food looks so good. It looks like better than real life.
Yeah.
It's I haven't been there yet, but I think what in Yakuza 7 they had the actual restaurant chain Gyukaku,
Yeah.
which is like has spread to the U.S. and there's one near me, and I've been there in New York, and it's like, man, I'm gonna be like have so much fun going to Gyukaku and be like, I wish I could go to real Gyukaku.
It really sucks that the save transfer thing isn't a thing.
Yeah.
And that it won't transfer up, because I am considering purchasing it on PS4 because it is a free upgrade at least. And there's
the saves don't transfer.
There's a buy two get one free that you can get through Target, at least in the States, and I could pick up Valhalla and Yakuza and then get a free game also. Interestingly, it specifically excluded Demon Souls and Miles Morales, so I could not take advantage of it for those two games. But Yakuza and Valhalla are included, and I could just get the PS4 version of Yakuza and then upgrade it for free. But I still probably won't want to start playing it until the PS5 version is out, because you can't transfer the saves, which sucks.
Yeah. I'm curious what the next gen version looks like on Xbox.
So
I've got the settings fully cranked on my PC. I've got like the screen space reflections, which is like the ray tracing stuff, and that looks nice in the puddles. But like there were still like signs are still like pretty pixelated, even on like 1440p and like highest quality.
I would love to be playing this game on PC.
Yeah,
I bought it on PC.
Real weird what was happening to you, because I've had like some weird controller stuff where if it like sits too long, it'll just be like, oh, the controller is not connected anymore or something, and I can't like reconnect while I'm playing the game. That's weird, but that's not at all what happened to you.
You're using a multi-monitor setup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently my issue affects people who use 2 or more monitors, but if it's not affecting you, I don't know. So basically, I bought it on PC.
I have that nice graphics card.
Yeah, that's true. Mine is old in this computer. But yeah, I got it on Steam, started playing it, and every time it would launch, it would just start flashing a black screen, and then like you'd kind of see the Sega logo appear for a second, and then like it would just keep flashing, and then it would just go all black and turn my monitor off.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, and apparently other people have been running into that same issue. So I spent like an hour and a half troubleshooting, like changing INI files and configurations and all this kind of stuff but nothing was working. So I ended like fully cleanly updating drivers and doing all this stuff, but just didn't work. So I ended up refunding it and playing it on PS4.
Yeah. Weirdly, it always launches in like 1080p windowed mode, so it's like a small little window. I'm like, why are you doing this? And then I can full screen, it's not a problem, but I don't know, it's a weird port, I guess, but it's playing fine for me, and I can play it at like 90 frames a second, so which is really important for a turn-based RPG.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, that's been my one complaint on PS4. It's been maybe 30 frames, sometimes pretty below that, which is a bummer.
6 have that problem too.
I'm curious as to see. I think I might actually just order it for PS4, because I'm curious to see, since I can do a buy two get one anyway. I'm curious to see if it like how it runs on PS4. I don't really care about higher fidelity. My main interest in playing it as a PS5 version is the load times. But it's possible that it loads really fast on PS5 anyway.
On PC,
like
it's like I almost never like. There's like the text like on the tooltip screen, and I barely have time to read any of it most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like when loading the game, maybe it's a little bit longer, but not like it's like 5 seconds.
I mean, there's definitely load times on the PS4, but it's not terrible. Like it's like it's noticeable, but I've definitely, like you said, I've only read it a couple of times. For
the
that
ultimate question becomes, if I get Assassin's Creed Valhalla on PS5 and Yakuza Like a Dragon PS4,
Mhm.
then I have a free game to select.
Another copy of Bugsnax.
I would prefer to take advantage of the promotion to its fullest extent and get something that is full priced.
All right.
Let's see. Okay.
I mean, like I could pre-order Immortals, but I think maybe I don't like that game based
How
on the
about
demo.
Godfall.
Madden
There's an
NFL
option.
21.
No, I don't want Madden. I don't really want DMC5, and it's not full priced anyway, so that's a cheaper
Yeah.
gag. Because you can do it on pre-orders, but I don't want to pre-order something that's way off. I could get Watch Dogs on PS5.
Sackboy Adventure.
I don't give a fucker and a half about Sackboy's Big Adventure.
Puyo Puyo
Puyo
Tetris
Puyo
2.
Tetris 2.
Yep. We ended up at the same spot.
Then I'll have to buy a second controller, and I don't want to do that.
It's too bad Hitman 3 isn't out yet.
I'm gonna play that on PC because they're letting you transfer all your stuff over. So
Yeah, that's fair.
that's and also I like playing those games on PC because the fidelity of mouse and keyboard means that you can, for me as someone who is decent at shooters, even though Hitman's not a very good shooter, I can do some kind of crazy like throw something over here, throw something over there really fast.
Oh, it's buy 2 get 1 free on select games, movies, and music. Baby, you got Uno right here.
I might just end up pre-ordering Watch Dogs.
I got a 2-pack of bicycle playing cards.
I was not super impressed initially with Watch Dogs on PC, but I like playing it on a controller more, and there was some stuff that I've heard about it that actually makes me kind of interested to play it.
We got
that or
BTS. We got BTS B Deluxe Edition CD, $50. You can include that. That's on the buy 2 get 1 free. You can get 2 games and a BTS Deluxe Edition CD set.
Wow.
You got some Play-Doh, a Play-Doh retro compound pack.
It's very Owen Wilson of you.
Wow. Wow.
I'm just trying to help you out here, man.
I appreciate it.
Nicholas Sparks, The Return.
It's basically a choice between Watch Dogs Legion or Godfall.
But you already have Watch Dogs Legion.
No, I don't. I got a month of Ubisoft Connect. I didn't buy the game.
Oh, right. Well,
I wouldn't buy the game unless it was part of a buy 2 get 1 free promotion.
So you got Blackpink, the album CD box set version 4.
Well, how much is that?
$24.99.
That's just, I would just buy that though.
But it comes wait, no, is this what is this? Is this it's not a real tiara? Okay, no.
Well, then fuck it.
It's kind of a nice box. I don't know.
I like that album.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, because it seems good. By the way.
Pre-order a copy of Riders Republic.
Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel. The book for $6.49.
You're looking at movies. I'm not gonna go there.
No, it's a book. I'm just looking at the buy 2 get 1 free on select games, movies, music, and books.
Oh, it's on books too. Okay.
So Andre, what news happened this week?
The way you're feeling right now is something that we all feel at different points when different members of this podcast start going off on tangents about things. We've all got a thing.
You can get some Nickelodeon slime.
Oh my god. Wait, what?
I'll throw that on the order.
Like
not as
actual
the free
slime?
thing.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well,
you can buy it by the bucket.
It's more just like a weird, like, I don't know. It's Nickelodeon slime blends.
It's
Immortals
like a
isn't even
gelatin
in the promo.
mix.
Yeah, it's probably because it's not out yet.
No, you can do it on pre-orders. I could get Riders Republic for free. For some reason, Immortals isn't in the promo. I don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's select games.
Yeah.
Just get a
Who
Stadia.
knows?
Don't do
Sackboy
that.
isn't included in it. Wow, damn.
Speaking of things that are free, Google is giving out free Stadia founders packs, premium packs. What are those called?
Whatever.
The thing.
Whatever. I have claimed mine.
A Chromecast. You can get a free Chromecast if you have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do pay for free Chromecast, and I've heard that like
it's not a bad controller to be used for like either your phone or your PC. So I'm like, I'll try it out and see. But I'm like, I'm not using it for Stadia.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So
I'm just
if
getting
you've got-
getting a free Chromecast, and then maybe I'll use the controller a little bit.
if you are a YouTube Premium subscriber and have been since before some date in November, then you too can claim a free Google Stadia starter kit or
One
whatever.
thing I'll also
Unless
say too
you're
is
unless you're outside of the United States.
Yeah.
yeah.
For
The
now.
one thing I'll say
All our
too
listeners
is,
in Russia.
Hey, they
is
they're there.
They are
is
there.
if you're on somebody's family plan for Google for YouTube Premium, that works too, because
Can you double up? Can you get like
I don't know. So I was wondering to ask my dad if he wanted to do that, but also he doesn't play video games. But yeah, no,
you
I'm on
could
my
use
parents.
a Chromecast. You can put like
Yeah.
Baseball on the TV.
Oh my god.
I'll ask him if he wants to put Baseball on the TV. I think they already have a Chromecast on one of their TVs, but it's like, he's gotten weirder products before, like when he bought like that Overwatch League shirt for no reason, and I was like, why?
Okay.
You've never
That's
played or
fucking
watched
awesome.
Overwatch? He has an Overwatch League shirt for like a France team, I think, because you
Okay.
could get it for like extremely cheap, and I was like, okay.
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 Living his best life.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can
Okay.
move on to news. I'm sorry, but I have to first address this.
You have the
You can
floor.
get Watch Dogs Legion for PS4 as part of this promotion. Buy two get one free, which means you can play the PS5 version when that patch hits in like 10 days. It's a free upgrade. There's no like the Ubisoft games, just do the upgrade. But you can't pre-order a copy of the PS5 version of it on Target.com and get it in the buy two get one free.
Anyone who's buying the PS5 version is a chump because isn't it like $10 more?
No, the Ubisoft games
Oh.
are $60.
Oh,
across-
okay,
across
okay.
both.
No, never
Anyway,
mind.
moving on. Sorry.
That's weird. Okay. Well, speaking of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S also launched this week. And I don't know, they're consoles.
Yep, they exist. People have them in their
Talk about them
houses.
a lot, yeah.
Yeah. They are being scalped, of course, for
Yep,
a lot of money.
ridiculous.
The PS5 is going for much more than the Xbox, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I think like maybe predictable based on just like games available, possibly. I don't know.
In case you're curious what the actual size of the Xbox Series S is, I recommend going to Belinda Garcia's Twitter, where she has it
It's like a
next
4-month-old kitten.
next to her 4-month-old kitten.
You can DM me for a size comparison with my dog also. I'm not it's not
Of
for
the
public
PS5.
consumption. Yeah.
I don't know. There of course launch hardware. There are some weird quirks.
Yep.
Like people getting some bunk CD drives or disk drives in their Xboxes,
Just like
making
rattling
horrible
around.
noises.
Yeah.
Horrible noises. And the PS5's having some sort of like various like download errors where like they can't download the right game or like the right version of a game or just download it at all. And you have to like factory reset or rest mode not working, quick resume stuff or whatever it's called.
And some things seemingly bricking the consoles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yep. Hopefully that stuff is all easy to fix and fix quickly because, hey, these are expensive.
Yeah, I
and
think some of it is
Probably hard to replace right now if something got broken.
yeah, I certainly think they deserve the criticism, so I'm in no way defending them. However, what I would say is, and what I was sort of saying in our chat is there's always a failure rate on hardware, like every kind of hardware. It doesn't matter if it's a video game console or phones or like in my line of work, it's appliances. There's the failure rates are obviously you want them to be low, but to some extent, clearly there is an issue with the Spider-Man remastered rest mode thing. That's like
Yes.
something that's been
Yeah,
recreated.
that's the
and
biggest one that I've
documented.
heard about is that.
Yes.
Which is wild because I always use rest mode, so I'm like.
I've used it's not an issue with Miles because I've used rest mode with Miles and it's been fine. But to then sometimes the extrapolation from like, well, it happens consistently with Spider-Man Remastered, and then my PS5 was in rest mode and I turned it on and it was bricked and it wasn't running that game. You start to get into like, it may not have been because of rest mode at that point. You're drawing a
Right.
correlation with something that is reproducible, and it could be that too. But when you start getting into like troubleshooting hardware issues like this, it's really complicated. So the stuff that's like, well, don't plug in the Ethernet port, which some is now like there's hearsay about like, no, that's specifically related to PS4 transfers, but maybe it isn't. I mean, it's hard to say unless you really have a large number of people reproducing the same issue.
Yep.
It could just be that the console, I mean, it could be that there's something got knocked loose. I mean, this isn't really a thing with modern consoles, but there's so many different points of failure on them that obviously you should be critical of the company for when you spend $500 on something, it should just work. There's no getting around that, but there's also no getting around the fact that there's just failure rates on these things. So I'm choosing to live my life in such a way where I'm not going to put it in rest mode with Spider-Man Remastered. That's been well documented and reproduced, but I can't just be like, well, I'm just not going to turn it on until March.
Right. And I mean, like, also, like, I mean, it might be hard to get things replaced right now, but I mean, they're not going to say, like, oh, your console bricked itself immediately.
Yeah.
We're not going to replace it. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, like what I was saying before, the getting that replaced right now is probably a motherfucker because
right.
yeah.
Totally.
the demand is crazy, and I imagine their pipelines don't have that much allocation for replacement units right now.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, I it's like that's probably the biggest area of concern, but it's like, yeah, if it does brick, it will get replaced. They're not going to be like,
And there's
I
things
don't
like,
know.
I saw someone say that if you put a disc in upside down, it'll break the console. I'm like,
Why are you putting... I guess
Seriously.
if you got it like vertical.
well, so yes, I put it in upside down on accident because I had it set up vertically and it's behind my TV. So I kind of
Fair.
have to like reach over the TV to put the disc in. So I just like a doofus put Miles, because it asks you when you're booting it up for the first time if you want to put a disc in, if you have the disc version, to install it while you're going through the console setup, which is cool. And so I did that, and then I got through the console setup and I was like, oh, Miles isn't installed yet. And it's because it was upside down. It did not break the console. It was fine. I ejected it, flipped it over, and then it installed correctly. There's no damage to the disc. It's all good.
It's interesting that it
I
didn't.
wasn't like, what sort of dumb motherfucker would put a disc in upside down?
I have a unique situation. If the console had been in front of me and in front of the TV, I wouldn't have made that mistake. But because I was like reaching over the TV to put it in, yeah.
Oh, sure.
But so it's weird that it doesn't warn you. It's like, this disc is unreadable or something.
I bet it would if you did it at the menu, but because I was going through the setup process, it
Oh,
probably
maybe. Yeah.
that's probably why it didn't say that. I did have one moment when I was playing Miles where there was like a semi-emotional, not like super sad, but I think Miles was like looking at a picture of his dad on the mantle or something, and then it was like a friend messaged me, and it went like bling, and the message popped up in the corner, and I was like,
Turn off all that shit.
yeah, gonna need to turn off every notification. And it was like this controller is sick, because it was one of my few friends who managed to get one, and it's like, yeah, man.
Yeah, it is, but maybe
Also,
not.
Miles' dad is dead. That happened in the last game. That's not a spoiler.
Speaking of dead, Deathloop is coming to PS5 on May 21st, 2021.
Is this a delay or an announcement of a?
Well,
it
it was already
It was gonna
delayed.
be out,
Yeah,
it was going to be out, so this is a new release.
So they
date.
delayed it to 2021, and they're confirming the date.
Yes,
Correct.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I want to play that game.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
That's
I've played all of the Dishonored games on console, so I'll probably play Deathloop there too. And plus, I want to try like the trigger, like the trigger stuff
Yeah.
they talked about.
yeah, me too.
but I bought this new fancy like graphics card. Like, why
It's
do I-
tough. It's a tough call because I like playing shooters on PC generally. I don't like playing first-person shooters unless it's a first-person snackser. I don't like playing FPSs on consoles. So
Mouse and keyboard, baby.
yeah, exactly. But what I'm hoping is that Deathloop has mouse and keyboard support on PS5 because
Yeah.
Call of Duty does.
Right.
Yep.
And so
That's
then
fair.
I could try the trigger stuff, and if I hate it, I could still play with mouse and keyboard.
So that's like I want Sony to just go. We're gonna do
I know,
the DualSense
know.
right, and we're gonna do PC drivers.
I
Oh
know
man, yeah.
but
that would be the best, but
The
at the same time,
the
I
community
don't
might
want
do it.
I also don't want to plug my DualSense into a
but
PC at this point. So
if the devs aren't like supporting it, then it's kind of meaningless.
No, totally. But like Motion and Joy,
Like,
etc. Like that was a
Oh,
community effort.
Oh yeah. Like I mean, like getting it working on a PC, but getting like the haptic and the trigger stuff working.
what I can already tell you that I'll do with Deathloop is I will purchase it on PlayStation 5. I will play through it and have a great time with it, and probably play through it once with a controller. And then when it's on sale on Steam, I'll buy it on PC as well. And then if I'm gonna play
It'll
it
come to
like
Game
I play
Pass
Hitman and
eventually.
stuff. Yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, of course it will. What am I saying? I'll wait for it to come to Game Pass and play it on PC there. That's done. Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
In fact, it'll be on PC Game Pass probably at launch because it's coming to PC. It's coming to PC at launch.
We just I wonder if I don't know. We'll see.
because
that
Outer Worlds did,
exclusivity
and
stuff.
that was Outer Worlds did, and that was
Yeah.
a similar situation. Not with the console
could be.
exclusivity, but I bet it'll come to PC Game Pass at launch.
Yeah,
So then I
with-
can decide if I want to spend $60 to try the trigger stuff.
What with the arcaneness and all that. But yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, next up, this is a story I am positive we talked about, but
Yeah.
for some reason people were like started losing their minds again about it.
I think you're right. Yeah, I had this.
Which is Sega is looking at porting more games, remasters, remakes to PC because of Persona 4 Golden's success. I am 100% sure we talked about this.
I think we did, but it was also I think that they've made more statements like
Yeah, it
about
reaffirmed it. Yeah.
I think at first it was speculation, and now this is actually
Yeah.
maybe Sega/Atlus getting out and saying it.
Well, yeah, it was speculation because they said beforehand, if this does well, we will release more games, and then
and then Persona 4 Golden did well, but
yes. So it's yeah. I think it's ridiculous. You can't just play all the Persona games on PC. That is
Yeah.
like deeply absurd to
Persona
me.
3 portable, please.
And I mean, 1 and 2 run on PC. I believe there are PC ports that exist of them. And they're not very good from what I understand. So they probably need some work, but they came out on Windows. Yeah, Persona 1 came out on Windows.
It'd be cool if they just brought the SMT games over also.
That would be nice.
They're
cool.
doing that
That I have
remaster of
less of an
3, which is out next month.
They are,
Yeah,
but like
it's
I
out in
mean all of
Japan
them.
already, right?
Maybe it's coming out in Japan next month. And
No, I'm pretty sure it's out already in Japan, but not out here yet.
Persona 2 only came out on PS1 and PSP. That's weird.
PSP. Yeah, but like I don't. It'd be cool if like Shin Megami Tensei 4 or whatever came to PC.
Yeah.
I will say, if you're a fan of Sony's portables, you should play Astrobot. If you want to see some fucking high res 3D models.
Like take a deep look at the Vita.
Yeah.
Cool.
Deep Vita.
Yeah, I would hope that they put out the rest of the Persona games on PC.
What else has Atlus done? I mean, Atlus developed, not Atlus published.
Catherine.
That's already come out to PC though, hasn't it?
Yeah. Let's see. They've done a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they do a lot of publishing, but they also do a lot of development too.
Was
Radiant
Dragons
Historia.
Yeah.
was Dragon's Crown them? Because that was a, or was that
Yes.
vanilla?
So,
was
yeah,
that
it was.
or was it
Vanillaware game, but they
Vanillaware?
published it.
Oh, okay.
No, I believe Atlus published it.
Yeah, they published it.
So they didn't make it.
Trauma Center Under the Knife.
Oh man.
That game is so good.
It
That game
is.
is so good.
I'm
Yeah,
so
bring
bad
that-
at
bring that to
game,
PC.
but-
That game rules. I never expected it to be as good as it is, and then a friend of mine was like, "You have to play this game," and I was like, "All right, fine." And then I played it in like one sitting,
Yeah, it's good.
one 19-hour sitting.
It's fun to watch speedruns of those games.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Those are fun.
They published Demon Souls. but the
Sure did.
original.
Did they publish it worldwide or just in Japan?
Maybe just Japan.
I
Like
think
it's
they
got
just
like
published it in Japan.
it's got Bandai Namco, Sony Interactive Entertainment, Atlus USA is on here.
Oh, okay. There you go. Maybe it was Bandai Namco published it in Japan and Atlus published it in the West.
Like it's got Atlus and Atlus USA. So
I'm looking at
Etri and Odyssey 2.
I'm looking at some Atlas games. They made some Hello Kitty games.
Sick.
Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom
Sick.
Strikers. Persona 4 Arena. Give us Persona 5 Arena, please.
Yeah, so you can play Persona 4 Arena with worse characters.
I regret to inform everyone that 13 Sentinels is not available on Target.com. That was the other thing I thought of for a free game.
That would be a good one.
I would.
But-
I would like to play it at some point.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
Is this game called Soul Hackers?
Oh yeah,
Devil Summoner Soul Hackers. What's that
Devil
game?
Summoner is really good. Those are SMT games.
Yep.
Soul
Hacker's
Hackers
a great name, though.
What?
It's a great name.
Yeah, and Soul Hacker is not like the other Devil Summoners games. I don't think it's more of an because
It's a Saturn game with a 3DS port.
yeah, the 3DS version is the one I played. It's fucking cool. They have guns that like are like computer guns with cables that like shoot into people's brains, and then you can go inside their brains and stuff. I think that's the game. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. Devil Summoner is awesome. So Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner 2 is like you play as this. It's called Raido Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army, and you play as this like 18th century cop in the UK. Those games are crazy. They should make all that stuff for PC. All that stuff should come to PC.
Yeah, or at least like available for other consoles or
Every
more modern
game-
consoles.
Every game should be available on PC for
I saw-
posterity.
I saw. Yes, I agree.
For perpetuity?
I was at my.
Forever.
I was at my local game store, video game store, picking up a copy of Spider-Man because I wanted to do one launch day PS5 physical game purchase. And they're super responsible, big plastic screens up between staff and customers, blah blah blah, the whole 9 yards. But I had to wait
Probably
for them.
hard to hear through 9 yards of plastic.
Yes, it is. They have like a little speaker. I had to wait for like 15 minutes in the store for them to take the Miles Morales off of the pre-order status so that they could ring it up. And as I was walking around, I saw that they had a copy of SMT4 for the 3DS. I think it must have been sealed, and it was $80. I was like, Jesus, it's a good game, and I know that it's kind of rare, but wow.
I'm sure they get a lot of foot traffic coming in there and trying to, look at games right now.
It's funny, that store, I love that store. It's a great store. It's connected to a really awesome pinball arcade, which is like the same business. Also, there is not really a way physically to walk to it. It has like a tiny parking lot on the edge of a highway.
That's America in a nutshell.
Yeah. It's definitely a destination store.
Well, with the Hyperloop, you can get anywhere in a terrifying.
Fucking get me started.
Okay, let's see. Next, Alex, you're gonna have to take the lead on this one because I don't really know what it means, but some stuff AMD talked about with sharing the memory from the 6000 series cards with the 5000 series CPUs, but now Nvidia's like, no, we can do that too. We're just gotta patch it in.
Yeah.
And it'll work with anything.
Yeah, the SAM, the Smart Access Memory. So AMD, AMD kind of was all like, oh, well, now if you get a 5000 series CPU and a 6000 series GPU, those will work together and give
That's
you
11,000.
Yeah, it'll give you 11,000 performances.
That's 8,000 more than the 3000 series cards.
Yep,
so
correct. Yep, that was
checkmate,
their math.
Nvidia.
Yep, they're giving the double middle fingers to Nvidia that way. But no, because they were basically saying like, oh yeah, this is going to be exclusive to this like that pair of things. And then Nvidia just kind of reverse engineered it and was like, oh, hey, we can do that too. Check this out. And then they're just like, here, see, we're doing it. Cool. And anybody can use it on any CPU and any one of our cards. That's cool, right? And so AMD is just kind of left like holding the bag in a way, just being like, yeah, I guess you could do it on anything. But it's just like, that was supposed to be like a really big selling point for the new AMD
For that,
GPUs
like,
versus anything else. But now it's like, oh, that's just going to come in a patch to everything. So
Yeah.
it was just funny more than anything.
So what does this actually mean though? What does it actually do? What for me, the gamer? Why do I care?
It's because it will allow the CPU and GPU transfer bus to go beyond the memory it has, which is usually like 256 megs. I know you don't care about any of that shit, but essentially, or most of our listeners probably don't care about the actual technical details, but essentially it means that the CPU and GPU will work closer together and give you faster performance. That's the short version.
Fewer bottlenecks or like smaller
few,
bottlenecks,
right? So it's doing
bigger bottle. What is it? I don't even know.
Wider bottlenecks. Yeah,
the bottleneck is not as bad.
Yeah, so it does. If a GPU or CPU has to make a call to memory, it can do it faster, or like it doesn't have to do 2; it can do 1 instead. So it's good.
Okay, sick. And then once that's paired with like direct storage coming later next year or whenever it actually gets implemented in games, that'll be pretty snazzy. It seems like.
Yeah, it's a good thing for PC gaming all over the world.
And our last news story is it's one that I'm excited about. Nioh and Nioh 2 are being remastered for the PS5.
Yeah.
And they're doing it the correct, the polite, the nice way for the gamers. They are, at least for Nioh 2, Nioh 2 is going to be a free upgrade if you own Nioh 2 on the PS4. The remaster will be free for PS5, and any DLC you own will also come along with that, whether you own the disc. If you own the disc version, you do have to put the disc in, but you get it for free. And if you do not, there is there's just like a remastered version, and then there's also the like complete edition or whatever that comes with all the DLC, and it is getting the final DLC next month in December. The final story DLC is coming out, and your saves transfer. So everything about it is A+. Good job.
That's great.
Is that Ninja Theory or is it Team Ninja? Which one did Microsoft buy?
I think it's Team Ninja.
Okay.
Let's look it up. Nioh. Team Ninja. Yep.
Okay, Team Ninja. So yeah, those games are good. I was going to play more Nioh 2 this year, but then I saw that and I guess I'm going to wait for the PS5 because it's a little framey and the load times are kind of annoying. So having enhanced load times and a better frame rate, they say it's going to go up to 120 FPS, which is that's very high.
Up to, so not sustained.
Yeah, like if you go performance mode, I don't know exactly what it'll be. I don't think they said locked, but I believe they said up to 120 FPS. So works for me.
Sick.
Most people can't make use of 120 FPS if they're playing on a TV anyway. So, and they don't have, Sony has not currently offering 1440p support on the PS5. It sounds like maybe they will in the future, but they're focusing on making it work on TVs right now, whatever that means. And with that, I think we are going to be done with this episode, unless there's any news we missed.
I don't have any other news. I do want to report, if you want to feel baffled for a little bit, you should take a look at the cross-platform guides on Ubisoft's website, because
what's up?
Well, there's just stuff like I placed my order to receive a PS4 copy of Watch Dogs, which I'm considering that to be my free game personally, no matter what Target.com says. And then a PS4 copy of Yakuza and the Assassin's Creed
Valhalla.
on PS5, and like you can transfer the upgrade is free. You have to keep the disc in the drive if you have a physical copy, but it's free upgrade from PS4 to PS5 versions of games. You can transfer your save data. If you transfer your save data, if you have a PC or an Xbox, your save data you can pull your PC save data to your Xbox, but you can't pull PC save data from your PC to your PlayStation.
Is that
You
'cause
can
they-
physically transfer PS4 save data to a PlayStation 5. There's a lot of other wild stuff in this FAQ. It's
yeah.
messy. It's messy. It's
At least I've heard with Valhalla that stuff all just works like
yeah. I'm sure it's fine. in
like people would
practice.
just like people going from like, oh, I was playing on my PS4 and then I like got a Series X and I turned it on and loaded Valhalla and my save was just there.
It seems
That's
like
awesome.
it works better on the Xbox than it does on the PlayStation.
Well, the Watch Dogs like doesn't like fully support the thing, like
Not-
weirdly, but
Yeah.
like Valhalla does support it.
It's just weird. I mean, Watch Dogs is an especially weird situation because it's technically not out yet for the new consoles. The update for it doesn't come out until the 24th of this
I thought
month.
it did for the Xbox.
And so that's what I'm saying is it did come out for the Xbox, but the physical versions, you can't buy it for Xbox Series X yet. However,
you can't
the
buy
update's
it, okay.
basically there. And so it's weird.
The
Watch Dogs
baby
is,
oil on the streets with the reflections.
That stuff looks bad in IMO anyway, but whatever.
Too much ray tracing.
Part of
Get ray
why
tracing
I
out of
want,
this game.
since I can get it for free anyway, part of the reason that I want to do it is because I want to see what happens when that patch hits. If it's just a patch, if it's I have to download a PS5 version of the game and keep the PS4 disc in, I'll be interested to see.
Okay, so
Yeah, that will be interesting.
replace Arwen from Lord of the Rings with Tigger. Is that a better movie?
No, Arwen's a great character.
Okay,
Arwen is
replace.
great.
No, I'm saying
But-
Tigger is
but-
the new Arwen. Like it's still Arwen.
Like in a wig and like the
No.
dress and like making out with Aragorn.
Yeah, and bouncing around
No.
on its tail.
Because Liv Tyler is
Well,
just wonderful.
would you add Tigger as a new character, or would you replace an
No,
existing character
no,
with Tigger?
No,
Replace like
Tigger's
one
the new
you
member of the
replace,
Fellowship.
no,
replace like Pippin with Tigger.
no. You finally shoot.
Boromir.
You finally
with
shoot.
Tigger.
No, not
No.
Boromir.
No.
Gollum. Replace Gollum with
No.
Tigger.
You finally add Tom Bombadil, but Tigger is Tom Bombadil. That's
Oh
what
my
you do.
god.
Tigger Bombadil. Tom Bombatigger.
No,
Witch
that's
King
not-
of
play
the Witch King of Angmar, but Tigger.
Oh my god. Yes, sure. Why not? The Witch King of Angmar rides on Tigger. Did you ever play like the PS2 Fellowship of the Ring game?
Yes,
I played the
Like-
Return of the King on GameCube.
yes, I did that as
like,
well.
or that was what like
That game
or
rules.
the
That was a fun game.
Two Towers and Return of the King were very different games from Fellowship.
Yes, and those two were really good. Fellowship was not.
like Fellowship, like you were playing as like Frodo and you got to like escape from the Shire and throw like rocks
Yes,
over
it's
like
a
to
weird
distract the ring
puzzle adventure
wraiths.
game.
And then
Oh.
you had to fight. You go into the forest and like it puts you to sleep, and then you have to like fight the vines. But I couldn't beat the vines, and I was
It's a
like, "Why did I
bad
rent this
It's
game?
A
I've
really
had it for
bad game.
I've had
That's
it
so
for 2
interesting
days, and I
because,
can't beat this part of the game. And now I've got like 3 days
It
left,
has-
and it's a waste of $5.
It has the same energy as those shitty Harry Potter games on PS2.
Hey! Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
It's
I
not
love that
good.
game.
What was
It's
the-
not-
No, I love
I did
that
too.
game.
It's
What
not
was
good.
what was the Gears of Potter game where you're basically playing Gears, but it's a Harry
That
Potter?
was 7. That was 7.
Okay, put
That was,
Put-
there were
put
two.
Ti-
there were
Tigger in
two
that.
put
of
Tigger in
those.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
Now I want to go back and
No,
play that
no,
game.
don't corrupt.
That's
Don't
a good game.
It is.
don't corrupt Tigger like that.
It's a missed, like the Two Towers and the Return of the King. That kind of game is missing from today's. I mean,
totally.
those games were kind of like the evolution of something like Golden Axe in a sense, and like brawlers that were a little more than just button mashing, but you could button mash if you wanted to. We've lost that. We need somebody's got to bring that back. Give me a Star Wars game that plays like that.
Oh please!
That I could sit on the couch with my partner and play. That would be so fun.
Grabby hands
So-
towards that idea.
I'm still.
my God.
I've got one more Tigger suggestion in the Lord of the Rings universe. Shadow of Mordor, but your character is Tigger.
Yes, 1,000%.
I mean, that's fine.
Play
'Cause
it.
that character is not
That's-
in the books
Exactly.
in the first place.
That's basically
Also, like
how
Loki, that
he
character is
climbs
like
the
fine,
walls.
but not,
Yeah, he's
like
whatever.
he's whatever. So
He's
it's like,
better than I thought he would be. But
yeah, he's
nothing
not
special.
bad, but not great.
But
So
would it
it's
be
like,
better as Tigger?
Yeah.
No, what would be better is if Tigger plays the dead elf that's in your head the whole time in those games.
What if Tigger plays both? Or like what other Winnie the Pooh character would?
It's like a deep like character acting one man show situation. Where
So
he's
wait,
having
would the
conversations with
would the
himself.
Heffalumps show up in that case or what?
Well, are we making a Winnie the
Yeah,
Pooh
that's
game
like
or
the
are we making a
Nemesis
Lord of the
system.
Rings game?
Oh my god.
I want a buddy cop scenario with
Tigger and Tigger.
Tigger and Kazuma Kiryu.
It's like, okay,
What about Tigger and Yakuza? Now we're talking. Now we're fucking
any
talking.
of you watch the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh series at all?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it's great.
which is a
I don't
good show.
think so.
But like, there's like one where Tigger is a detective, and
Yes.
it's like make that into a video game.
Yeah. More Winnie the Pooh video games. In Kingdom Hearts, you spend a lot of time in the 100-acre wood. Just saying.
Sam and Max and Tigger.
That's almost too close to what Sam and Max already is, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I almost did the other day when I was setting up my PS5? I was looking at that list of after I said I was going to play the Order 1886, which I still haven't installed. But
Yep.
I was looking at that list of like all of the PS4 classics or whatever that collection is called.
Oh, that's a weird thought.
And my cursor hovered over Shadow of War for a little longer than I
It
That's
seemed
the PS Plus game.
it seemed fine.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's the PS Plus game. That's not one of the collection. Yeah, so it was I redeemed it on my PS5, even though it's the PS4
Yeah.
PS Plus game,
Yeah.
and which I'm very glad you can do, by the way. And and I almost hit
Oh,
the
shit.
download button on it.
Breaking news that only Pat will care about. Dota team Evil Geniuses just added a new member. It is Ice Ice Ice.
Wow,
That's a fucking awesome pick. That's hilarious.
in 3 to 5 years when the international comes back, hopefully he's still playing Dota.
Ice 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 is a really wonderful Singaporean, I believe, player who has just an amazing sense of humor. Like he's fucking hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one last Tigger suggestion, and that is replace the Joker in the Batman Arkham games with Tigger.
So Tigger dies in City, but he's
And
not actually
then
dead.
is in your head in Arkham Knight. So you do the grapple thing and you're flying up, and then Tigger just
Tigger tail. No. Tigger is also Batman.
and
The wonderful thing about
Bruce-
Batman is you're the only one.
Fuck.
The wonderful thing about Batman is your parents are dead.
And that has been episode 147.
Indeed, 100 episode 147.
100 an
Podcast.
episode.
100 an episode.
November 14th, 2020. You can find us on Twitter at Fix Podcasts or Fix.space, where Alex is going to have a write-up of Umineko going up. You can head over to podchaser.com/gamingfix to leave us a review, or leave us a review on iTunes or wherever fine podcasts are reviewed. You can find yes.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you have any questions about PS5 stuff, feel free to
Email us
or tweet at us or whatever.
Tweet at us.
Happy to
at
try
gaming.
whatever weird shit you want to know about the PS5, as long as it doesn't damage the machine.
There was a video of a person with a PS5 in their car eating like a hamburger and French fries on it, like it was a plate, and they just like squirted ketchup on the PS5.
That's
Hell yeah.
really, that's really good.
Like, okay,
I'm not gonna vape into my PS5, but
I can't.
Oh my
believe they had
God,
to
that whole thing.
Tweet it. Yeah, that's
So that's the news we didn't talk about.
that's the vapor chamber, baby.
God.
I mean, it turns out if you blow vapor into a fan, it's gonna shoot out the fan.
Yeah, like.
But
Yeah.
people were saying it was smoke. Oh, it was so dumb.
Yeah, well, it's 'cause yeah, that's dumb. Anyway, you can find me, Andre, aka your partner's favorite DVD, on Twitter at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W, where I'm yelling at Diane Feinstein.
As we all should.
Yeah, god
It's
damn it.
true, you are.
Shut the fuck up, Pat. Where can people find you?
You can find me at PJC Plays, contemplating whether it's worth breaking some PS4 games to change my PSN name to that as well.
So what? Shut up,
PJC
Diane.
Plays.
No, to PJC Plays, my PSN. Although Shut Up Diane Feinstein is a really good name. Maybe I'll see if I can make my Black Ops name that.
And Allison.
You can find me on Twitter at WRITERSERENYTY, where I will be getting a Game & Watch Super Mario Brothers next week. So
Hell
look forward
yeah.
to pictures of that.
You need to do an unboxing video.
Gosh.
I almost did an unboxing video of the PlayStation 5, but I couldn't come up with a funny enough angle that was good enough. So
You just open it and the dog is in there. You go, what? You can find Sam at SGCH on Twitter, and I don't know, everywhere. That's what he
he's
goes by.
currently just going off about eel fucking, which is, go on
Hey.
his Twitter.
Hey, chase your bliss. And Alex, where can people find you?
I don't know.
That's
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah,
where in the world is Alex Kalinas?
close enough.
We said this was going to be a short one, and it was
Nope.
not.
Look at that.
No.
Right at 3 hours, baby.
It's fine. I feel better about it now than I did last night. Last night when I was
Yeah.
going to bed, I was like, I can't fucking do a 3-hour podcast tomorrow.
Yeah, no,
But
and I
did
had
it, and
that
feel
same
pretty
thought.
good.
I had that same thought waking up this morning where I was like, oh my God, I can't do a long one. And then
We're
we
here.
did a
Oh,
long
it's fine.
one.
Well, because the clocks changed for you, they did not change for me, and so it is even later than usual for me because we start at like 11:30 now, not 10:30. So
Sleep
yeah,
in,
so
Andre.
it's 2:15, baby.
Enjoy your sleeping.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be back
Jackbox.
next week with another episode.
Jackbox
Oh, yeah,
Party
the
Pack
Jackbox
7 is
thing.
good.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah,
Big
that was
old Ding
fun.
Dong Award.
Go.
Ding dong.
Congratulations, Allison.
Thank you. It's a
gotta-
true honor.
I want to play that again soon, but also I don't have a backup or archive of that stream. So if you want anything from it, you best go get it before it goes away in a week.
Reaching
Yeah, I
out to
really want to play that game, the like where you have to guess the pop culture or thing.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a fun one.
It'd be good if you could submit your own.
I think I had Tigger as an option one of those times,
Damn.
but I did
Alright.
go with Winnie the Pooh.
Nobody
another time.
got
Anyway,
Energizer Bunny. Anyways.
goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.